I'm back at it again with another episode of Spider-Man, and today we are gonna be playing as Miles Morales for a little bit, and we're doing grabbing this.
Miles,
Am I being dragged? Who's dragging me? Who's dragging me?
Miles! Peter! Peter!
Basically, they're overprotecting the world. Our election isn't like before. There's a lot more loot. So I don't you think might be a good time to have one? Patience.
Miles! Miles! Right here.
Not like a Superman. They replaced
Thank God. Can you hear me, baby? Can you hear me? Stay here. I'm going to find your father. Peter. Peter, wake up. Come on, say something, please.
By using his heat vision to fry his brain and give him the bottom, which is something that the Justice Lords do to a lot of supervillains. In fact, pretty much all of Batman's rogues gallery has been lobotomized and now as a sort of version of the characters, though they seem more like zombies.
This kind of thing just doesn't work anymore. In fact, nothing.
Crazy.
Now, lobotomizing Doomsday is something
Need to get around somehow.
do. It's just way too violent, and it's crossing a line that even never crossed.
It's so out of character.
It's about time if you ask me. Well, later on it does actually cross this line.
Did you decently try to lobotomize Doomsday with your heat vision, just as the Justice Lord?
Under there.
Now that seems to be what we have with Doomsday. He's just an extremely strong monster.
Oh, man.
Sky. But later on, this is retconned, and it turns out that Doomsday was actually cloned from Superman's DNA by the Cadmus organization, but genetically altered to make Doomsday stronger than Superman. Cadmus originally made Doomsday to defeat
Mom!
Superman. Kind of felt like some action indicating Superman. That's
Damn it!
Hurry!
Hurry!
Now, I never actually understood this.
Flipping!
If Doomsday does go Superman, you then got to find a way to get bigger than stronger than Superman.
Are you okay? Nice going, kid. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Although in the film, Superman
I'm alright.
Lex Luthor does quite well.
You sure you're okay?
Fails things.
Yes, I'm
It's
gonna
a
be
metaphor.
alright. I'm gonna be alright.
Alright, Lisa. I have to go find Dad, okay?
No, wait. Miles, no. Miles, no!
I can take you.
I'll find him.
Though Superman's true is not
Dad's alive.
This is very
I
ridiculous.
know it.
Very possible. But hey, the guy's so I guess you just have to go. Getting back to Doomsday, after he was cloned in the past, people then subjected his brainwashing and conditioning, making a heat suit, and want nothing more to kill him. This was Cadmus's way of making sure that he didn't kill Superman if he was ever released. But his hate and his stroke were too strong, and he couldn't be contained, as he kept trying to escape to kill
He was
Superman.
right there.
So in the end, he was put in a rocket and launched into space. But again, he was too strong for this. He destroyed the rocket and fell back to the Earth, which is why he originally appeared to be coming from outer space when he first fell. There is actually a bit of a continuity error in this, as Ant Waller is the head of Cadmus.
Where do you think you're going?
But Doomsday was cloned by Justice League. Otherwise, they could have fight each other. But despite that rather large plot hole, it's the names. This is actually quite a as Doomsday was originally a Mexican crypto at a time when rather Kryptonians the scientist named Bertram cloned him, released him as
这边没有问题。 看看讲台那里有没有活人。
This was done each time the human were stronger and stronger.
没动静
So eventually,
接着走
actually
Can't cross yet.
And every time he was killed,
Gotta find a way around these guys.
so that he couldn't be harmed in that way again. For example, after his brain is melted by the justice of Superman, now eventually Doomsday did go insane, as he remembered every line of death he had. Eventually, when he was strong enough, he killed Virgil, dumped him, and left Krypton just to basically kill other people, as he was just insanely violent and crazy at the time. Now his body was actually formed from strong radiation, much like Superman does, so he didn't need to be prepared to survive. And he travelled the universe, killing up to millions, until eventually being beaten by one planet and sealed in chains and sent into space in a spaceship. Now, the race that killed him actually was used on this part of grabbing
Dad was right there. Gotta help him.
was part of the Burial Ritual, as they were trying to stop the spirit from leaving the body. Unfortunately, because obviously
Now.
he wasn't actually dead, he was just improving when he was on the ship. And this ship crashed on Earth in our castles, and it crashed with
Whoa!
and it was eventually discovered by humans who were digging deep into the earth looking for minerals. He was still alive
Right there.
inside.
Gotta help him.
And he gets
Whoa!
and eventually finds Superman and kills him. Which is why he's named Doomsday, because if someone can kill Superman, it
Dad was right there. Gotta help him.
or at least that's the reason given in the comic. In the real world, the reason he's named was because he didn't Superman comic writers, but they the idea of the story where Superman dies as Doomsday was Superman. And then they kind of stuck and they eventually came up with a monster that was going to kill Superman. And that is the origin of Doomsday. It'll be interesting to see what the new film, Death of Superman, Part 1,
Now.
as we can promise they will accurately interrogation.
Whoa!
Superman Doomsday, which was based on the same comic, though they didn't adapt all of it in that version.
Right there. Gotta help him.
So the question is, what do you want to do with Doomsday? And what do you think of this version of Doomsday's origin? Be sure to let us know in the comments. Just to say a quick thank you to those who made this video possible by donating to the Equalize Productions page on Patreon. Patreon is a crowdfunding site that's helped us with
Now.
and to raise funds for collecting comic book stories in a short animated films.
Whoa!
Links in this video description. As always, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe.
Dad was right there. Gotta help him.
Spider-Man's powers come from Spider-Man that you received as a teenager. Now, apart from his web shoes, his costume is made of just material. Or at least
Now.
originally. Over the years, different versions of Spider-Man emerged.
Whoa!
In the comics, there are literally hundreds of different suits.
Dad was right there. Gotta help him.
This video is going to be focused on the live animation, not comics, not live action, video games, just animation. Also not going to be including the anime spider suit from the Spider-Verse film. This is simply because it's not just Spider-Man suit, it's a giant spider robot, so it does what you think it needs.
Now.
And with that out of the way, let's get started.
Whoa!
Spider-Man suit. Now, this suit was originally made in the comics as a bulletproof suit for Spider-Man to fight
Right there.
bad guys who
Gotta
have
help him.
guns and iron power. And in Spider-Man the animated series, we see the costume of Spider-Man from another universe, in which Spider-Man is a beloved hero to the world. His Uncle Ben's alive, Gwen Stacy is not only alive, but married, and Peter Parker himself is a millionaire who has a family. It's basically Peter Parker's universe. It's also kind of like Peter Parker, and he was also Iron Man.
Now.
As such, this Spider-Man has a special suit. There's a stronger version of Spider-Man armor, complete with lasers. Now, we have stronger suit in the show, but it is of course bulletproof. And no doubt there's several other tech powers. The nanotech spider suit. In the short-lived one-season
I got you,
costume,
Dad.
Spider-Man Unlimited, Spider-Man's normal costume is destroyed. So he makes the nanobots are housed on large webs, and when he activates them, they come out of the costume.
No! We have to leave. Now.
Or back into street clothes. The suit also houses web shooters. It fires spider tracers, long-door spider projectiles, and it was built in order to fight symbiotes, meaning it has a sonic mode,
Dad.
so it gives off loud sonic noises and possibilities. And most impressive of all, it has an active camo mode that essentially makes Spider-Man invisible, which is of course very useful when you're a superhero, as
Dad.
it's stealth and incredibly easy. And of course,
no.
it's a tactile heads-up display that makes it a lot easier when locking onto targets, especially
Wake up.
in night vision.
Wake up.
And the suit is a nano fiber mesh, so it also makes it very hard to unmask it, as you can't just pull the mask off, as it is essentially seamless. And the material itself is incredibly strong, even able to survive blasts from lasers. And though guns aren't used on this show, it is very possible they could also stop a bullet. Number 3. The Strange Spider-Man suit. In the Ultimate Spider-Man series, Doctor Strange at one point gives Spider-Man the Eye Agamotto, which transforms his spider suit into a magical hybrid of his costume that's sort of half Spider-Man and half Doctor Strange's. This suit gives Spider-Man the ability to fly and to open portals to other dimensions. It also gives him magical purple webs that are reinforced with magical power, meaning they can hold magical and demonic creatures. Now, the full extent of this suit isn't shown, as Spider-Man does give the eye back to Stephen Strange, and he doesn't really get it again for the rest of the series. But he most likely has other magical powers as well, as the Eye of Agamotto is a very powerful magical relic. But since Spider-Man has no sorcery training, he doesn't really know how to use the eye properly, or how to use it to its full extent. So deciding where exactly the suit would go on this list was quite hard for that reason. But since Spider-Man can fly and open portals to other dimensions with it, it really does deserve this spot, as it is still
sorry
a
for your
very
loss.
powerful suit. Number 2.
Do I know
the
you?
Agent Venom suit. Now,
I'm
the
Peter
symbiote
Parker.
suits are extremely
I was at City
powerful,
Hall.
as they boost all of Spider-Man's powers. And once
know
they
you
bond
don't
with
know
his
me,
DNA,
but
they're even able to use
I
his
just wanted to
powers
say,
themselves.
I know what
And
you're
some
going through.
suits of note are the Spider-Carnage suit, which not only boosts
That's what
this
you were gonna say,
universe evil Spider-Man's powers, but it also allows him to morph
Or
the suit into different weapons.
it all gets
and of
easier
course
over
into different
time.
shapes. And in the Unlimited Spider-Man
Don't worry.
series, the Carnage and Venom suits
part of
not
God's
only
plan.
can morph into different shapes
Sorry,
and
I
turn
was
into
just
an almost
trying to
liquid
help.
form so they can fit through nearly any gap,
You know,
but they also make the wearer seemingly invincible, as bullets and laser blasts do fire right through their body and cause damage,
sorry about
but
that.
they feel no pain whatsoever, and the destroyed
I know what
part
I'm
of
gonna
them
do
is
with him.
instantly regenerated. Although, of course, they are still vulnerable to sonics. But when you're pretty much immune to bullets, well, I think that's a fair trade-off. And though these powers are very impressive, when it comes to raw power, the Agent Venom suit seems to be the best. It has all the standard spider powers, able to stick to walls, shoot webs, super strength, but it can also absorb other weapons and incorporate them into itself. At one point, stealing the rocket blasters off the Beetle's suit, and then permanently incorporate them into itself, so that he can use these
getting much
whenever.
coverage.
He's also
I
able
should
to
look for
take
more
armor
towers
and
to activate.
incorporate into himself as well. Now, it doesn't really adapt any other weapons in the show, but presumably it could adapt others if Flash constantly pushed it to. And this adaptation ability is what really sets it ahead from the others, as it can keep making itself
What's up?
more
have you
powerful.
started looking
That's
for Martin
the
Lee
fact
yet?
that this suit
No,
doesn't take
I
over
told you I
Flash's
can't
mind
start a manhunt based on a
or
hunch
even
from
seem to
Spider-Man.
influence his force
But I'm
in any
telling
way.
you, he's the
He is
guy.
completely in
Get me
control
some
of it,
solid evidence
something
and we'll
which
talk.
has never really happened
Solid
in
evidence.
any other incarnation of the suit. Even the symbiote just
Hey,
influences their
it's
mind
me.
and sends them a bit crazy, or it actually takes over control of their body.
I'm thinking I screwed up.
And the only drawback
When that
with
kid
the
lost his
Agent
father.
suit is, of course, its
I know
weakness
you
to
too well to
fire
say you should give
sonics,
yourself a break.
a weakness which is shared by all
What
the
about
other
the police?
symbiotes.
Do they
But
have
it is
any
still
leads
the
on
most powerful
They're not even
symbiote
looking
suit
for
we've
us.
seen in animation
Even Yuri
so
doesn't
far.
believe me.
Number
It's
one,
up to us to
Beyond
find him.
Spider.
I've been
I
doing
imagine
some
there was
research.
little doubt in
Go to
anyone's
this address.
mind that this suit would be a winner.
Martin Lee bought a
It is
controlling
essentially an Iron
interest
Man
in this
suit.
recycling center last
And
year.
it does have some
You
very
think he's hiding out
impressive
there?
specs. It's bulletproof, has
We know he's not at
lasers,
Feast.
blasters,
If he's not at the
it can
recycling
fly,
center,
has
maybe
additional
you'll find
arms
some
that can
evidence
be
as to
used
where
in
he might
battle,
be.
has a direct link to the internet.
Good work, MJ.
heads up
I'll let you know what I
display
find.
and night vision.
Oh,
And
one
of
more
course, the
thing.
visor can
I talked to the
filter
detective
through all
about
the
questioning the
spectrums.
arrested demons.
It also has its
They're
own
all
web
claiming
shooters
Martin
built
Lee
into
has the
suit,
power to,
and is able
quote,
to shoot spider
corrupt
tracers.
people.
And in the Ultimate Spider-Man series, Peter Parker actually can't use the suit properly because it's just too advanced for him. He has previously tried, but he just can't seem to control
MJ's hunch was right.
Now, to be fair,
Place is crawling with
played it
demons.
off as a joke, and he hasn't really tried to master
Gotta take
it.
these guys
But
out,
he
then have a
undoubtedly
look around.
could if he actually applied himself. But until then, Amadeus Cho is the Iron Man spider suit wearer. He is a super genius, but he doesn't actually have any spider powers. He doesn't really have any powers at all, except for being a super genius. But the suit also compensates for this and can approximate Spider-Man's powers, meaning the suit makes him super strong and lets him stick to water for the most part. And this suit is so powerful that it was even the one chosen to be adapted in Infinity War and Endgame Avengers films. Because this is just the coolest spider suit there is. And the great beauty of this suit is that it gives the wearer both the powers of Spider-Man and the abilities of Iron Man, two of the most famous heroes of all time, who each have very impressive abilities in their own right. But combined, this makes for a very, very powerful weapon that makes the wearer insanely dangerous. And that is the 5 most powerful spider suits that feature animations. Now, I feel I should mention the 2099 spider suit as well. I haven't actually included it in the list because really its only great ability is that it's made of a futuristic material that makes it super strong, and quite possibly stronger than any of its other suits. But other than that, it doesn't seem to grant any other abilities, or at least none that have been shown in animation to date. Though since the Spider-Verse film had a 2099 teaser at the end, I imagine that will change when the sequels come out. But what do you think? Do you agree with this list? Or are there any other suits animation that you think should be included? Feel free to let us know in the comments. And I'd like to say a quick thank you to those who made this video possible by donating to the Eagle Mouse Productions page on Patreon. And I just want to give a quick shout out to our newest Patreon, Malachi Williams. And as always, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe, share, like, and comment. Rick and Morty is an animated TV show about a super genius scientist who is a crazed alcoholic who goes on insane adventures throughout the multiverse with his neurotic grandson, Morty. Now, the show is actually extremely funny and well written, and it's actually one of my favourite shows currently on TV. And this video is going to go over the lead characters of the show and which Lantern Corps that I think they should be in. Now, for those who don't know, Lantern Corps are organisations that have power rings, and these rings give the wearers superpowers. But the rings are powered by emotions, and in order to wield one, you have to have a strong link to the emotion that powers it. These emotions are love, fear, avarice, rage, willpower, passion, and hope. And there are the extra Lantern Corps of life and death, and the ultraviolet Lantern Corps, which is believed to be powered by shame.
Okay,
now, I do
that's
have
all
to
of
say
them.
that this video is only focusing on what we've seen in the TV show. We won't be counting any character development that happens in the comic books or in the video games, because the comics are not canon, and the video games made so far don't really have
A
any major
security
character
lock.
development to speak
They
of.
use these on
And
banks, not recycling centers.
And with that out of the way, let's go on with the video.
Maybe if I can find where it gets its
When
power
it comes
from.
to Rick, there are 3 obvious options, and these are of course rage, willpower, and fear. You see, Rick frequently goes off on rants about everything that annoys him, and he's pretty much a dick to everyone, and it's
Looks like I could override the circuit.
Now,
Need
to
my
be
electric
fair, he's
webs.
a super genius surrounded by morons, and that's not an insult.
Well, that did something. It looks like the circuits need a little more juice.
So to him, interacting with normal humans must be like trying to have a conversation with sheep. And that would get pretty tedious pretty quick. So you're bound to lose your temper. It also doesn't help.
Gotta
that
find a
Rick's
junction
drunk all the
box.
time, which makes everyone, including Rick, quicker to lose their temper and less understanding. And when
There.
Rick is sober, he usually
Looks like the circuit's still
around.
stable.
He's still
Maybe
pretty
there's another
bad, of
junction
course,
box close
but
by.
not quite so bad as when he's drunk.
You're the reason this species is a failure, and it makes me angry. Drunk.
So, in truth, I think his anger mainly stems from frustration with human
Gotcha.
stupidity and alcohol use.
Almost there.
My
One
point
more box
being
should
that
do it.
It doesn't seem like true rage, just extreme frustration, and the fact that Rick is, well, just kind of a dick. And though there is anger there, I just don't think he belongs with the Red Lanterns. His rage just doesn't seem to be right for this Lantern Corps. especially when there are other possibilities available.
Uh-huh.
Now, no one can deny that he has a colossal amount of willpower. I mean, he's invented things that basically boggle physics and science.
That's
He's
it.
travelled the universe and multiverse, destroyed planets, gone to war with the government, destabilised and collapsed intergalactic governments, and 100 other things which require only the highest level of willpower. But the thing is, most of these, if not all of these, also mean that he qualifies for the Fear Lantern Corps. After all, the requirements for the ring are to inspire great fear. And in fact, in Season 3, an alien actually turns up to be killed by Rick because he is such a great and famous warrior around the galaxy.
The Flip-Flippians achieve an eternal orgasmic afterlife so long as they're killed by a great warrior.
So clearly, he's quite feared by aliens everywhere. And to be fair, if you're not scared of Rick, then you must be insane. I mean, he's a mass-murdering madman who makes neutrino bombs in his spare time that destroy entire planets. And I can say without a second's hesitation that if he was offered a Sinestro 4 Lantern ring, he would take it an instant. Because having a fear ring would appeal to him. He does have an enormous ego after all, and inspiring fear throughout the galaxy is something that he would enjoy. Not for very long, as he's easily bored, and probably wouldn't want to be part of the Sinestro Corps.
Not my cup of tea, this place. I say the point of being a Rick is being a Rick.
But with that being said, he'd definitely be up to
Oh, man.
a joyride. And for those reasons, I think
Guns from
fear
Fisk's
makes the most
armory.
sense for him. Or at least, that's what I thought initially, because there's actually one other Lantern Corps that he seems to be a
Truck bombs?
candidate for.
This is
And that
crazy.
is the Avarice Lantern Corps. Now, this wasn't my first thought, or even my second or third thought, but when you think about it, it does actually make a lot of sense. After all, Rick
Explosives
is
from
one
Fisk's
selfish
construction
bastard.
site.
He literally mutated an entire planet Earth into Cronenberg's, and then just left.
Lots of
And he
high-tech
never even
equipment.
seemed to bat an
Maybe
eyelid
later
about
I can
it.
recycle this
And
stuff
from
into
what he
some weapons
said,
of my
and
own.
the fact that he didn't bat an eyelid, we can tell this is far from the first time he's destroyed an entire species.
must be where they're planning
or
to
even an
attack.
entire planet
Right.
for that matter.
These are
And everything
Osborn
that Rick
campaign
does is
offices.
only for his own interests.
You wouldn't kill yourself? Yourself?
gang
Of
war.
course not, Morty.
The
How
demons
could
were
that crop
stealing
in me?
from Fisk to
And
go after
avarice
Mayor
isn't just
Osborn.
greed. Selfishness plays a lot
Did you
of
find
part.
Lee?
But
No,
Rick is also pretty
but you were
greedy.
right.
As he
He's
has
using
said
this place as a
before, the
front
one
for the
thing that all
demons.
his adventure
Bomb-making,
needs
gun
is-
running.
So wait for me to benefit.
Now, admittedly,
And
he
it
does
looks like
have
they're
his
planning
moments of
another attack.
self-sacrifice.
This time
He
on
even
Norman
once
Osborn's
sacrificed
campaign
his own
offices.
life to save
He
Morty's.
must have some kind of
But
thing
on
with
the
Norman
whole,
Osborn.
avarice
I
is
found an
his
address
thing.
here.
Hell,
I
at a
think it's their
later date,
staging
he actually
area.
abandoned Morty in summer in
If
a
I hurry, I might be able to stop them.
Earth and replaced him and her with androids. And he only came back to them because the androids didn't turn out.
Oh, but don't you have infinite versions of
Yuri,
me and my
it's
sister?
me.
You don't have to kick
Make
me
it
while
quick.
I'm
I'm
Yeah.
getting yelled at by
There's
my
no
boss.
replacing either of you.
Martin
without
Lee and the
another
demons are
warrior.
planning another
Ultimately,
attack, this time on Norman
And when
Osborn's
you think
campaign
about it,
offices.
almost every
Are
single
you sure?
adventure
We've had a
starts
lot of
with
false leads in the past week.
Talking about
Trust
Vegas,
me on this one.
I want you to find
I'm sending you
Dr.
the
Zeno.
address of a recycling
These
center.
demonic
You'll
alien
find all the
spirits are
evidence
really
there.
value Isotope
Got it.
322.
I'll
Ask
get
me
those
started the
campaign
Avatar.
offices evacuated. But if you're wrong about this, you're gonna help me
games, there's always going to be a glitch or two. There's no way that they could get every single bug ironed out in something this massive. And Marvel Spider-Man is no exception, but honestly, some of the glitches in this game kind of add to the experience. So let's kick things off with something simple that you can do pretty much anywhere in the game. Throughout New York, you'll find things that Spider-Man can interact with by webbing and then casually throwing down the street. And this can have a knock-on effect to nearby NPCs, some of which are programmed to do the stumbling animation. And sometimes they'll stumble and fall inside a wall, and the game will then transport them upwards so they can do a little bit of Spider-Man wall climbing of their own. This, you don't even have to
Find a new job.
have some issues every now and again. For instance,
Consolidated shipping.
chasing down doesn't actually move, but it stays in position.
A lot of guys. I should try to do this quietly, but also with style.
Like what you're watching right now, I have no idea how that's physically possible.
But the end is just like, nothing strange here. One of the day's work.
Then going from a car that doesn't move to a car that just doesn't know when to quit.
There's never giving up, and then there's just this.
You know what? I'm a really big fan of these new conveyor belt streets. They really get you where you need to go. Oh, and also, never done. Doesn't know when to quit.
There's never giving up, and then there's just this.
You know what? I'm a really big fan of
I can use that stuff I found at the recycling center.
where you need to go. Oh, and also, never die during one of these. I didn't picture things going this way. You know what? I'm a really big fan of these new conveyor belt streets. They really get you where you need to go. Oh, and also, never die during one of
Nice.
these.
Love using bad guys' own weapons against them.
You know, I think
Spider-Man's greatest enemy might actually be cars. I'm not entirely sure what makes me think that, but yeah, cars. Although, on the other hand, they may also be his greatest ally. I heard that.
And that, my friends, is what comic justice looks
like.
like.
Somebody decided to park their car inside a wall because that's normal and completely expected. As is having a picnic in the middle of the street inside a car. Listen, I'm gonna level with you. This is pretty dangerous. I would maybe not do this. Moving on to something completely different now. There's sections of the game where you can take control of Miles Morales. Let's just say he's an interesting guy. Some pretty strange things can happen with him. Firstly, there's a section of the game where, as Miles, you're trying to get through one of these Sable checkpoints, and people are finding the game was actually loading in these weird denim low-poly vehicles instead of regular NPCs. Now, if this isn't some weird warning of a government-controlled dystopian future with these low-poly denim people, then I don't know what is. Now, what I think is happening here is the game
off, and it took me a good couple of goes, but what you need to do is be in the air when you down the last enemy of this combat challenge. When the combat challenge stats come up on screen, and if you're in the air and Spider-Man's next to a wall, he'll end up at this weird skewed angle when he stands on the ground. Now this is cool and all and funny to look at, but you can actually get a very extreme version of this. So extreme, in fact, that Spider-Man is now inside the floor, standing up sideways. Now everything about Spider-Man is completely normal except for the fact that he's in this state, but you're still able to run around and even jump. Now eventually this will wear off because I think the game actually corrects itself as it goes, but hey, it's a lot of fun while it lasts. Hey guys, listen up. Spider-Man's not just Spider-Man, he's also Superman. You heard me correctly, there's a glitch in the game that makes Spider-Man shoot up into the air much like Superman. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with this one. I've seen some versions of it where Spider-Man kind of gets turned around in such a weird way where I guess it confuses the game. But either way, it's fun to look at. I mean, look at the height you get on this thing. Did you know that Peter Parker was a photographer? Did you also know that he cannot take selfies of himself? Well, apparently it's true. Must be some kind of weird self-conscious thing where he's just like, I don't want to be in this picture, so he just decides to leave his hair in instead. I'll just post one of these bad boys on Instagram. It's not creepy or anything.
Slow laptop? How about one that boots up fast? It's switching time. How's that for fast? Switch to booting up as fast as 6 seconds. Switch to Chromebook.
For anything, we absolutely have to talk cutscenes with this game. They're some of the best looking cutscenes in any modern game. However, one of the things I love about modern gaming is all cutscenes are real time, which means the opportunity for a glitch to pop up during a cutscene is highly increased, and I love it because this is one of the games that does it the best. And the glitches range from all different kinds of things. For instance, faces just becoming contorted, or the entire character just kind of screwing up in a ball, or just limbs in wrong places. It's completely nuts. We all know how Miles likes to T-pose. Well, there's an entire scene where you talk to him and both Spider-Man and Miles are T-posing till their heart's content. They end up looking like someone's playing with action figures and acting out the entire scene. You'll have like completely random NPCs standing inside Fisk. I mean, what is this? Or how about entire QuickTime events where nothing is as it seems and things are just janky and weird and Fisk just bugs the heck out. I mean, look at this. This is art. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Some of these glitches are caused by dying just as you go into the cutscene, and if that happens, well, Spider-Man just takes the day off. He tries to elevate himself to higher frequencies by just vibrating on the spot. It's quite honestly some of the most bonkers stuff I've ever seen in cutscenes. There are cutscenes in this game where Spider-Man will sometimes stand in place of Mary Jane, and not only is Spider-Man not in frame because Mary Jane is a lot shorter than him, Spider-Man is also stretched for some strange reason. I don't have any idea what's happening here. I think I need to just calm things down and go to a glitch, which doesn't make any sense either, but it's not this. One of my favorite glitches in the game has to be this ridiculous looking one where Spider-Man just rolls on the water. And one of the best things about it is it's super easy to do. To pull off this glitch, what you'll need to do is unlock the air skills tricks in the web slinger category, and then all you have to do is jump up in the water and press circle, and then holding forward, press circle and triangle together, bam, you're rolling on the water. If you keep holding forward, Spider-Man will continue rolling forward as you'd expect, and pressing left or right will change the kind of animation that he does while in the water. It kind of makes for some interesting water acrobatics. And surprisingly, it's a really great method for covering distance while on the water. So yeah, it's really practical, but also pretty ridiculous to look at. I think we should wrap this episode up by looking at one of the longest and strangest glitches in this entire game, which happens completely at random. With the game being an open-world sandbox-style game, they can only make it so big, and so what they would do is close off the bridges to stop you from getting out of bounds. And this can be seen anytime you try to cross a bridge and the game tells you you're exiting a playable area and then pushes you back in the opposite direction back into the game. However, it appears that sometimes randomly this barrier that prevents you from going out of bounds is sometimes just not present. And this opens the game up massively for some out-of-bounds exploration. One of the first places I went to was the Rikers prison, where it's now daytime and everything's kind of still on fire. I guess because you'd never see this area outside of the story mode where it's nighttime and everything's on fire. So this was kind of interesting to explore. There's obviously no NPCs here or enemies, so you can explore without any interruption, and then I saw the raft in the background and I had to go and check that out. Now with the raft as it is, it's kind of just a hollow shell. There's nothing inside it. In fact, if you go to the very top of it, there's just a giant hole that drops you into. So I don't think I'll be going down.
I'm gonna
What I
go
was
down
most
outside.
interested in, being out of bounds suddenly, was going to the other side of the prison. Now, a lot of this stuff on the other side is just very low poly, very low res textured buildings. It's the kind of stuff you'd expect to see in maybe like an N64 game with those very blurry textures and very basic geometry. Now, what I was surprised to discover is a lot of the bridges here actually have some solid sides, and some of them you could climb. And if you actually manage to get on top of some of these bridges, you could go to the other side. But what you'd be met with is just a dead end that drops off into nothing. Now, the other side of the river, the buildings, they're not solid, so you're not able to just run around on top of them, so that kind of limits your exploration. Another thing you'll see out on the river are the different kinds of boats. You've got the Staten Island Ferry, which also isn't solid, and also these guys who chill out on this boat, and they are just very poorly textured, low poly models. And the stuff of nightmares. You guys must have seen this online. It's been everywhere. This is just a flat, unwrapped UV texture slapped on what's supposed to be a face. It doesn't even have eyeballs. You know what's funny is you don't even need to be out of bounds to see these. You can see them from pretty much the shoreline, and yet they look like this. Insomniac, please, put normal people in your boats. You're freaking out the kids. Who's driving this boat? Who's driving the boat? Who's driving the boat? Nobody. Nobody's driving the boat. I was also surprised to learn that the ferries don't actually fit under some of the bridges. That is a lot of insurance you're going to be claiming there, buddy. I was very curious to see where the train actually goes, so I waited, and then it passed me, and then it disappeared. That was kind of disappointing. I don't really know what's going on with this area. There's a bunch of street lights, but no actual platforms. Kind of weird. I kind of really enjoy how the game handles turning cars around on a bridge. They kind of just go through the wall. It's really trippy. Almost as weird as the cars on this bridge, which float ever so slightly off the ground. Honestly, I could make a whole video on the weirdness of Out of Bounds in this game, but there's a couple of things I want to wrap up with. Firstly, you can actually reach the Statue of Liberty. It is a real thing. It's not solid, but you can look at it slightly. Would be nice if the camera mode allowed you to move a little bit more upwards so you could actually see the thing, but hey, you're not actually supposed to be here, so that makes sense, I guess. For those of you who are playing the game and find that you can cross the bridge and you're now out of bounds and it's yours to explore, if you really want to get to the very edge of the map, be prepared for a 45-minute trip to the very edge of the world. And that's using this roll glitch that we talked about earlier, which is easily the fastest way of covering that much distance. And for those of you who don't actually want to put yourselves through that trip, I've done it for you, and this is what it looks like. In fact, at some points, the water actually kind of disappears at certain angles. It's really weird. The scenery of the world is, in fact, just a backdrop, a 2D texture placed on a flat plane, which makes it look like there's more scenery than there is. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you need with a map this big. You go to some of the tallest towers, you can see quite a distance. And if you fall off the edge of this world, the game will place you back on the last solid surface you were standing on, which was most likely something a lot closer to the normal map. Strangely, the game doesn't actually place you back in the playable area. It keeps you still out of bounds, so if you do find that you've fallen out of the map somehow, you'll still be out of bounds and you'll still be able to explore this entire area. The game, however, will now keep you out of bounds when you try to get inbounds, in the same way that if you're trying to get out of bounds, the game will try to keep you inbounds. But if you are trying to get back inbounds, you can just use fast travel to get back in the playable area. Did you get all that? Good. Honestly, when this glitch actually happened and I found out I could get out of bounds after trying so many times to force myself out of bounds, I must have spent a good 3 hours just exploring things and seeing what was out there. Like I said, it is a very random glitch, so if you really want to experience this, I'd keep trying to get out of bounds across the bridge just at random times and see what happens. But there you have it, guys. Some great glitches in Marvel's.
With a grand total of 40 suits being present in Marvel's Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4, I thought it would be a fun idea to look back at all the currently released suits and rank them. One of my first ever videos was a top 15 list where I expressed which suits I wanted to see in the game, and so in this video, I'll point out which ones I predicted correctly. Hopefully this list remains definitive until the sequel comes out, but I wouldn't be against some extra free suits coming in future updates. Before we get started, let me just point out that this ranking is entirely my opinion. My list may be the direct opposite of yours, and that's okay. I don't hate any of these suits. In fact, they're all really unique and beautiful in the game. This list isn't meant to rank the suit powers, nor is it a ranking of my all-time favorite Spider-Man suits. This list is purely about how Insomniac made these suits look and how often I played in them. You could consider this video a sequel to my top 15 alternate suits wishlist video, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. Honorable mention, Peter Parker. Even though the Peter Parker model isn't an actual suit within the game, we do get to play as Pete several times in the main campaign, and slightly get to free roam as Peter in the Silver Lining DLC. I've never been too big of a fan when it came to playing as Peter Parker in previous Spider-Man games, mainly because those segments are very short or were entirely cut from certain games. But considering that the alter ego of Peter Parker has as much relevance in Spider-Man PS4 story as Spider-Man does, getting a Peter Parker skin in the sequel would be a meaningful inclusion rather than it simply being a cosmetic change. Number 40, Undies. Kicking off the actual list is my least favorite suit in the entire game. The Undies suit is definitely the most humorous outfit in the long list of suits, and is even shown off at one point in the story, but I think it's a bit underwhelming when it comes to the payoff of unlocking it. Of course, the 3 chest hairs are a nice touch on the suit, and having the suit serve as the reward for 100%ing the main campaign is definitely a troll move, but compare the suit to the Ultimate Spider-Man's 100% suit. I would much prefer getting the black suit in that game for all my hard work over a quick little joke here. But I can't complain. They're no doubt saving the black suit for something bigger, and this suit was a fun little joke. Number 39, Spirit Spider. Now this might confirm a couple of dislikes, since the Spirit Spider is one of the fan favorite suits in the entirety of Spider-Man PS4. I don't think it's a terrible suit, I just haven't played it nearly as much as the other suits in the game. Besides, I wasn't ever a big fan of the quote-unquote Ghost Spider in the comics, and I'm not a big fan of the spider logos on the chest and back. However, what I do like about this suit is the name change to Spirit Spider, because it just rolls off the tongue better. I also really like the blue flames surrounding the skull head, and it makes the suit feel more dynamic and alive than the rest of the Ultimate skins. On top of these little things I enjoy, I'm really glad that Insomniac isn't afraid to dive deep into Spider-Man lore to bring suits into their games. I can't wait for them to get even weirder and more obscure suits in the future. Number 38, Classic Suit Damaged. I was debating whether or not to put the suit above or below the Spirit Spider suit, but I decided to put it above simply because it's a rendition of the classic suit, which I really love Insomniac's classic suit design. What I don't love is this suit taking up its own slot in the suits menu. The main reason behind why I don't like this suit being its own thing is because of how similar it is to the classic suit. If this suit was more damaged, showing off major scratch marks, tears in the suit, and potentially revealing parts of Peter's face like other, better battle-damaged suits from comics and movies, I would have been fine if the suit took up its own slot, especially since it ties into the opening sequence of the game. But considering the scratch marks on the suit are very tiny, and the blue of the suit looks a bit scruffed up compared to the repaired classic suit, I think it's just a waste of a slot when Insomniac could have put in just a tiny bit more to make the suit stand apart from the classic suit. Number 37, Cyborg Spider-Man suit. Cyborg Spider-Man is in the same boat as the Spirit Spider suit and the damaged classic suit. I was never a big fan of the Cyborg Spider-Man design despite being a big fan of the 90s Spider-Man content, but I do think it being tied to the classic suit allows me to give it some leverage over the previous suits listed. What makes this suit better than the damaged classic suit is that we get to see some extra accessories on Spidey, such as the headband, the eyepiece, the yellow utility belt, and the bandage rubbed around his thigh. It may not be damaged too much, but I do appreciate how gritty the suit is. The pale red showing the suit's age and the ability to see plus, that gigantic jet alarm looks really awesome and actually ties into the Silver Lining DLC campaign. Number 36, Spider UK suit. I honestly haven't heard too much about Spider UK aside from him getting his start and being a major character in the Spider-Verse comic storyline, which is a run I really enjoyed. His suit is definitely one of the less recognizable Spider-Man suits, but I do admit that the Union Jack design of the suit is a nice touch, given the fact that he's the United Kingdom version of Spider-Man. At the cost of the Union Jack reference, we don't get to see a spider logo on the chest, but we do get to see a spider on his back, making this suit comic accurate. I really like the squinty eyes of the suit, and honestly, the eyes in the shade of red are probably my favorite parts of the entire costume, but I really hate the shade of blue used in the costume, as it's just way too bright. It does distinguish the suit from the rest of the classic-inspired suits, but I think a paler shade of blue would have fit the suit more appropriately. Number 35, Fear Itself suit. I've never read the Fear Itself comic storyline, so for a few years, the Fear Itself suit was one of my least favorite Spider-Man suits because the design was atrocious. I still haven't read the Fear Itself run to this day, but after playing as the suit in Spider-Man PS4 for a short amount of time, and learning more about the overall suit, I might check it out. Some of my favorite Spider-Man suits are when those suits take inspiration from other superheroes in the Marvel Universe. With this concept in mind, the idea of a Spider-Man suit using the Uru metal that makes up Thor's hammer Mjolnir is a really cool concept, and the chainmail shown on those suits looks great. Despite that being the main thing I like about the suit, I do like the aspects of the Insomniac classic suit making its way into the Fear Itself suit, such as the expressive eyes. On top of the eyes, I think the suit looks really great at night due to the neon webbing. In the daytime, though, this suit looks pretty terrible, and I honestly would have loved to see Spider-Man adapt those blade gauntlets into his suit power, but from a sheer cosmetic point of view, I'll only ever use this suit at nighttime. Number 34, the Velocity suit. Now we finally make it to the first Insomniac original suit in the entire game, and it just so happens to be the Velocity suit designed by Adi Granov. I'm not saying this suit is terrible. In fact, I think it was a pretty cool pre-order bonus for Spider-Man PS4, but when I compare it to the other suits in the game, this suit may look cool, but I personally don't think it looks as Spider-Man-y as it could. because Spider-Man is a word. I think the neon spider logos and the outlines on the suit could be much brighter than what they are, and it would have been cool if the eyes were expressive by changing the shape of the neon lights, but aside from those complaints, I don't really have anything else to say about this suit. I like the Velocity suit for being original, but when compared to other suits in this game's arsenal, I don't think it holds up as much as it could. If the blue neon on the suit was brighter, I think that could have boosted the suit up a couple ranks. Number 33, the Resilience suit. Here we have another Insomniac original suit that I like slightly more than the Velocity suit. Like the Velocity suit, though, the Resilience suit doesn't have much going on when compared to other suits in the game, but I do think my love of the suit is responsible as Blarka actually thinks of the suit. I remember in his top 5 worst DLC suits in Spider-Man PS4 video, he mentioned that the suit looks like a quote-unquote hybrid of fabric and armor. While he didn't like that concept too much because of how the suit looks in cutscenes, I personally think mixing armor and fabric is a really cool concept for a Spider-Man suit to have. On top of the concept of the suit appealing to me, I actually really like the squinty eyes, and I think it makes the suit stand out from the remainder of the outfit suit because of how squinty the eyes are. What makes the suit better than the Velocity suit is that it looks more like a spider. The white webbing and the shaded red is I enjoy. Like the Velocity suit, the suit just doesn't feel even if the design is really fresh. Number 32, Spider-Punk. Now, I'll be honest, I was never a big
He's not
fan of
out here.
Spider-Punk in the comics,
Better check
at least when it
inside.
comes to the suit design. Considering that the Spider-Punk suit is pretty comic accurate, I don't like it as much as the other suits in the game, mainly because the suit never appeals to me from its creation. To me, this suit can start play as a pre-order bonus like it did, as I could play as the suit at any time without having to unlock it. To me, this is probably the suit that I have the least to say on, because I just don't really have an opinion on it. But the reason why I rank it so high is because it does feel more Spider-Man than the other
Invoice
suits.
from an auto
I
shop.
know some people like it, though, but I don't
Pale
really have
Horse
much of an
Rides.
opinion on it. But it
It's
is
one
cool how
expensive
JJ
tune-up.
Peter wearing the suit in-game.
What else can I
Number
find
31,
around here?
Bombastic Bagman suit. Now, I'm a guy who appreciates the silly Spider-Man suits. Even though the Undy suit is my least favorite in the game, I can appreciate its inclusion in the overall product. The Bombastic Bagman is another silly Spider-Man suit.
Bases all around the city.
Suits and was personally, I don't mind seeing the Bagman suit in the Spider-Man game, as it's not just funny, but it actually is a real Spider-Man suit, making it all the better. However, we've seen the Bagman suit so many times, and for those who watched my top 15 alternate suits video, I wanted to see the Fantastic Four Spider-Man suit over this one, despite them being nearly identical aside from the bag. I can't complain though, since this was part of the recent free update, and the Fantastic Four costume looks really good, and I like how Insomniac added the Spider-Lens shapes around the eye holes on the bag, but I think what keeps the suit so far down on this list is the exclusion of the Kick Me sign. Number 30, the Spider-Clan suit. Now, here's a controversial pick. The Spider-Clan suit, also known as the Mangaverse Spider-Man, is either one of the most hated suits or it's one of the most beloved. I'm honestly split on it. I really like the cartoony/anime tone of the suit, and the overall design is pretty accurate to the comic counterpart of the character. However, I think the head is shaped a bit weird, and I would have preferred if the backpack actually had straps around Spidey's arms, but man, those eyes look really good. In terms of comparing this to the Shattered Dimensions version of the Mangaverse Spider-Man suit, I think they're both good looking in their own ways, and I really, really love the cartoon
This is bigger
style
than
of
I
the
thought.
Spider-Man suit here.
Looks like the
Just
demons
makes me
have an
want a
army.
spectacular Spider-Man suit sequel even more. Number 29, the Homemade suit. In my top 15 alternate suits wishlist video, I technically wanted this to be, but I completely forgot that it was already announced alongside the Iron Spider suit.
Haven't I fought a guy with horses before?
It was already announced. Some people might be surprised.
As if one
so
deadly
overall,
glowing witch
I
wasn't
know the
enough.
fact that it deserves its place. I like the Homemade suit as the ripples of the Turtle Spider suit, and I like Homecoming suit. But I was never really too big of a fan of its design. It just felt goofy to me compared to the other origin suits, which wasn't perfect, but even in a game like
I don't know
this,
what I was expecting, but it was definitely not this.
it is pretty cool that we can only unlock it by getting all 35 backpacks in the game, and I think that gimmicks that's a couple of spots.
Hey, MJ, I think I stopped the demon's attack on Osborn's campaign offices. No, but I found something we should look into. A place called Pale Horse Rides.
Sounds familiar. I'll bring it out and get back to you.
Now, the regular suit is in the same boat as the Homemade suit. I'm a fan of all the origin suits. My personal favorite because I grew up reading the old Spider-Man comics, I was pretty excited to learn the Spider-Man.
Copy, Silverbird. We're descending to location.
Identical to the rest of the
There's another one.
because of my connection to that series, I prefer Open Safety.
Safety's off.
Well, this is new.
No. This one's mine. I'm executing this son of a...
Hey! That's not how we do things. Down! Down!
Code SM1.
Whoa, whoa! Before we do this, who the hell are you guys?
Code SM1. Code SM1. Holding for orders. Copy Code SM1. I have a visual. Hold for Silverburn.
Hello, Sable. Why you... What? I'm about to go. Why you bullying me?
Nice entrance. Solid 8 out of 10.
Ow! Now, this is not cool. That's not cool.
Out of 10.
Release him. He works with us.
The Aaron Eichmann armor is one of the tools that I was never a big fan of. Unlike the Spirit Spider, Fear itself, and Spider.
Yuri,
The Aaron Eichmann armor
explanation,
feels
please?
the most like a Spider-Man
This is
suit and
Silver
fits the total
Sablinova,
Spider-Man PS4
head of
perfectly,
Sable
in my
International,
personal opinion.
a private security
Considering there's
force,
plenty of armors in the game,
paid
I
for by
actually
Mayor
think that the
Osborn.
rest of them would
Oh, the mayor has a pet army now?
Next time you get in my way, I will not be so
I do love
gentle.
the main two triangular eyes
Go.
on this suit, but I don't like the
We'll
other
talk
spider
later.
eyes around its helmet, even if it does tie into the fact that spiders have 8 eyes. This suit is definitely fun to look at when it's around, and there's honestly not much else I can say about it. It just looks really cool. Number 25, the Future Foundation suit. This was one of my honorable mentions in my top 15 alternate suits video.
Hey,
I
sorry
wanted
about
to
that
see the Future
Sable
Foundation
thing.
suit
I
Spider-Man
should've told you
PS4,
earlier,
whether
but
it be
it all
the black
happened
or white
so fast.
variation, and
It's
I'm very
okay.
glad to say that
We're still best
Insomniac did a
buds.
great job at
We're
accurately
not best
recreating
buds.
the suit.
Well,
However,
that took a
Insomniac
dark
does
turn.
take a few liberties when it
Oof.
comes to their own
Sable has
suit,
the
and I
mayor's
think
ear
the
and
little lines on
unchecked
the suit
authority.
give more of a
We've
realistic
searched that
depth,
address you gave
rather
me,
than
found
having a
plenty of
piece
evidence of a
all
bomb
the way
fire,
around.
but nothing
My main
that
issue
leads
with the
back to
suit is
Martin
actually
Lee.
the eyes.
I'm
While they
working
look
on that.
accurate to the suit in the comics, they're very reflective, and in the daytime,
Hey,
it
MJ.
throws me off from the remainder of the black
So I
on the
dredged up
outfit.
some records
When I
on
first
Martin
saw
Lee's other
this suit,
business
I actually
holdings.
thought the eyes
He's
were a
got
bit
places
buggy.
all over the city.
Number 24,
The
the Dark
locations
Suit.
line up with a map I found at that
I never
shipping
knew I
business.
needed the suit in a
I'll check 'em
Spider-Man
out.
game until I heard
Let me
about
see
it
if
in
you find
Make
each one, and
76's
I'll
top
work on
20
building
ultimate
a
costumes
case.
never
You
seen
got
in
it.
Spider-Man games.
I'm headed to Lee's office
Originally
in
coming
Beats
from
to
a
see if I can
Spider-Man
learn more
Deadpool
about
comic
why he's
storyline,
doing this.
The Dark Suit makes
And what
its
he's
way
got
to
planned
Spider-Man
next.
PS4 through a Black Cat
Okay.
side mission.
Say hi to
And even
May
though
for
the
me.
majority of the suit
Lee,
is dark,
you
as
don't
the
think
name
she's in
implies,
danger, do you?
I really like how
No.
Insomniac updated
Lee's
the
only got
parts
one
to make it
target
more
on his
visually
mind.
appealing.
Norman
Besides
Osborn.
the red eyes, the red spider logos, and the red hourglass symbols on the palms look extremely cool, so the suit was definitely a surprise to see in the game, because I had no idea it existed, nor had any idea that it was a relevant suit. I really love using the suit in stealth missions alongside the Noir suit, by the way. Number 23, the electrically insulated suit. Another one of my honorable mentions for my top 15 was a suits video, and I was
another
very
call
glad
from
to see
Doc.
the Electro-Proof suit make an appearance in Spider-Man PS4.
I wanted to make sure you're
The
still
Electro-Proof
available.
suit, or the
I can't
electrically
leave
insulated
yet,
suit as it's
but
called
I've
here,
pulled enough
has made
strings to
several
keep the
appearances
wolves
in
from the
recent
door
Spider-Man
much
titles, but for
longer.
some reason,
If we
seeing
can
it
get
appear
up
in
and
Spider-Man
running,
PS4 made
I
it feel
know
fresh
this
again.
new version
It's
of the
very
project
fitting
will
that we can
attract
use it when
investment.
chasing after Electro during the
Massive
rap sequence and
investment.
during his fight alongside
Stay
the Vulture.
ready.
But I think this
Fingers
suit really
triple
gets to
crossed,
shine
Doc.
during one of the research station missions where you have to go dodge lightning bolts, so I think the fact that this game has plenty of opportunities for role-playing in this suit inclines me to include it as high as I did, as it's one of my favorite lesser-known Spider-Man suits. Number 22, the Stealth Suit, aka the Big Time Suit. The Big Time Stealth Suit is one of the more
Peter.
popular
So if
Spider-Man.
you're running this
It's one of
place
my
while
favorite
Mr. Lee's out of
lesser-known
town, who's
Spider-Man
doing your old job?
Number 22,
Me.
the Stealth Suit,
But I could
aka
always
the
use
Big
more
Time
help.
Suit, for role-playing in this
You know
suit.
anyone?
Actually, I
Another
do.
one of my honorable mentions
His
for my
name
top
is
15
Miles
Suits
Morales.
video, and I was very
Why
glad
does
to
that
see the
sound
Electro-Proof
familiar?
suit make an appearance
His
in Spider-Man
father
PS4.
was being honored at
The
City Hall.
Electro-Proof suit,
Ah.
or the electrically insulated suit as it's called here,
talked to him at
has
the
made
funeral.
several appearances in
He's
recent
a
Spider-Man
smart
titles, but
kid.
for
He's
some
just
reason, seeing it
having
appear
a
in
tough
Spider-Man
time.
PS4 made it feel fresh again.
I knew
It's
a
very
boy
fitting that
like
we
that
can use it
once.
when chasing after Electro during
I
the rap
remember it
sequence and
helped
during his
to,
fight alongside the Vulture.
stay
But I
busy.
think this suit really gets to shine
Might
during
help
one
him
of the
too.
research station missions where you have to go dodge lightning bolts, so I think the fact that this
Here's his
game has
mom's
plenty of
number.
opportunities for role-playing in this suit inclines me to
Thanks.
include it as high as
I'll
I
give her
did,
a call.
as it's one of my favorite lesser-known
Hey, you haven't heard
Spider-Man
from Mr. Lee, have you?
No,
Number
why?
22, the
Just
Stealth
curious.
Suit, aka the Big Time
I've got a few minutes before work. I'm gonna
The Big Time
look around,
Stealth
see
Suit
if
is
there's
one of the
anything
more
else I can
popular
do to
Spider-Man suits
help you out.
created in recent
Oh,
years,
you
and I'd
don't
be
have
lying
to.
if I say I didn't like it.
I know.
As much as I would have loved
I
seeing
won't to.
another colored variation of the suits, just the blue or orange versions, the green neon in the Stealth Suit is no doubt the most popular of the three. My main reason for liking this suit is how
I should check out Lee's office.
At nighttime, and much like the Fear itself suit, this suit looks absolutely gorgeous at night. It's one of my favorite
Need help
suits
with those
to use
veggies?
when I can see
I
ground
learned
attack.
a long time
However, what
ago, you're more
differentiates it from the
helpful
Fear
than
itself suit is that it doesn't look terrible in the daytime, so it's not restricted to just that period in the day. Number 21,
The Scarlet Spider 2 suit.
I'm hanging in there.
Finally, we're getting down into the costumes that I actually
This
partake
office
in
is
my top
locked.
15 alternate suits
How
wish
do I
list.
get in there?
Kane's Scarlet Spider outfit
Thanks.
has always
I
been one of my
appreciate it.
favorite suits out of any Spider character because I really love the mixture of black and red. The blood red eyes always stick out to me, and the black logo on Kane's red chest with the red Spider logo on the black portion of his back is one of the suit's best design choices.
Never seen that
I would have
one
ranked
before.
the suit much higher if Insomniac didn't include their own little tweaks to the suit that bump the overall likability of the suit down a few notches. It's very nitpicky to say, but I just don't like the red lines running through the black portion of the suit's mask and shoulder area. One of the major things I like
High
about Kane's
voltage
suit
lines.
is how the red and black
What
portion
needs this much power?
Like here, it feels like there's even more red to the already overpowering amount when
I
compared to the
understand,
black.
but the
I
account
do like how the suit was named Scarlet Spider 2, though. You don't see many things called Kane's suit by
I
that
will
name.
call you back as soon as I can
Number
get that
20,
information.
Into the Spider-Verse suit.
No,
Uh-oh, here's another controversial spot, but hear me out. I loved Into the Spider-Verse, and I really love the movie's design of the classic Spider-Man suit. My main issue with the suit is that the belt is a bit too high, but other than that, it's one of the best incarnations of the classic suit we've ever seen, ever. Serving as one of the game's few cartoony CGI suits, the eyes on the suit are actually expressive, which is something that I really like. While I would have wanted to see Miles' costume in the game, I understand why they didn't put it in, as they plan on
Should be
doing
right on the
something
other
special
side of the
with Miles
shrine.
in future games. But despite that, and because of the suit being another one of the game's incarnations of the classic suit,
These
the suit
journals.
should have been more identifiable, and personally, I think adding
Key.
some sweatpants from the movie
Wonder where
would
the
have
lock is.
Number 19, the ESU suit. While I don't think the undie suit is worth all the hard work to put into unlocking it, the ESU suit is much more deserving of being one of the game's tougher suits to unlock, which may sound a bit hypocritical. This suit is the closest we got to
Looks like this note is for May.
suit, and maybe it's just because I'm currently in college, but I like the idea of Spidey swinging around in a casual outfit repping his college. With
The
nothing
shrine in the
protecting his
photo
identity
is missing the
besides his
picture.
mask. Like I said, it may be hypocritical to put the ESU suit so high with the undie suit being the lowest suit on this list, but I honestly just think it's more fun running around in casual clothing than in just your underwear. Plus, it felt more rewarding obtaining this suit as you actually had to go out of your way to unlock it. Number 18, the Spider-Man Noir suit. Now, I'm a big fan of Spider-Man Noir. I love his comics, I love him in Into the Spider-Verse, and
Some
most
kind of
importantly,
puzzle
I
lock.
love his characterization in Shattered Dimensions. Shattered Dimensions is actually how I was opened up to the world of Spider-Man Noir, and because of the creativeness of his dimension, I grew into loving his costume despite how basic it looks. Despite how much I love the character and how much I love the suit in general, I can't help but say that I haven't used the Noir suit in the game as much as I've wanted, because there's just so many other shiny costumes to unlock. Don't get me wrong, I love using this suit in bases and stealth missions, but I think this suit is just overshadowed by the picture-perfect version of his suit from Shattered Dimensions. Number 17, the Iron Spider suit from the MCU. Serving as the final pre-order
That seems
bonus,
right.
the Iron Spider suit from the Marvel Cinematic Universe is actually one of the better suits in the entire game. Personally, I like using this suit at night because of how intimidating the glowing eyes look, but before the game released, I was pretty hesitant about this suit because I prefer the suit's colors being red, gold, and black, rather than red, gold, and blue like most people think it is, and like how the game presented it in the first trailer. Thankfully, the game fixed this and darkened the navy blue portion of the suit, so at some points in the game, it looks black like it should be. Before I started unlocking more suits in the game, this was actually one of my favorite suits in the entirety of Spider-Man PS4 because of how accurate it was with the suit in Infinity War. And I can't deny that this suit looks even better with the spider legs, but remember, this is not a list ranking the suit powers. Number 16, Spider Armor Mark II, aka the Bulletproof suit. Surprisingly, not many people like the Mark II Spider Armor in this game because of how similar it is to another suit in the game, but personally, I've always been a fan of Spider Armors, and I like how the suit looks this time around. In previous games, the suit looked very bland because the black on the suit looked very gray, almost bluish, but this time around, the suit is displayed in its entirety. I really enjoy swinging around in the evening with the suit as the sunlight reflects off the suit nicely, giving it a shiny feel to it, which is what you would expect from bulletproof armor. Sadly, I can't really express why I love the suit so much, I just do. Is it that collar? Maybe. A mixture of black and yellow? Probably. My love for this suit is just undescribable, and you have to see it to believe it. Number 15, the Vintage Comic Book suit. Now, I debated with myself on where to put the Vintage Comic Book suit in this list. Ultimately, I had to recognize how amazing the suit looks no matter the time of day thanks to its CGI look, but I didn't place it as high as it could have been because of the suit's design itself. Like I said throughout the video, I love Insomniac's design for the classic suit, but when there's a large abundance of
Father would say I've lost the path of balance, and he could never understand. The only way to fight a monster is to become one.
Not because it's just a CGI version of the Insomniac classic suit. I would have preferred if the suit was based off
This is
of
the folder
Steve
MJ
Ditko's
found
design,
at the auction
John
house.
Romita Sr.'s
This
design,
might help
or
us
even
figure
the
out
design
what
from the
Lee's
90s
planning
Spider-Man
next.
by Todd McFarlane. That would have made it vintage. Number 14, Spider Armor Mark III, aka the Ends of the Earth armor.
Can feel my
Despite my
power
want for the first Spider Armor, I wouldn't have minded the other 3 Spider Armors making it into the game, which at the time of this game's release was pretty funny considering that the latter 3 armors made it in with the exception of the first Spider Armor. However, out of the latter 3 armors, my favorite of them is no doubt the Ends of the Earth armor, better known as the Mark III Spider Armor. In my opinion, I like the suit for the very same reason as the Aaron Eichmann armor, as it's very futuristic looking, but still ties back to the core colors of what a Spider-Man outfit should be.
It's
Like
a
the Mark
burn
II
room.
Spider Armor,
Wire
I
to
can't
destroy
really
evidence.
describe my love for this suit, you just need to see it to understand how beautiful it looks, especially in a free-roaming game such as this. Number 13, the Anti-Ox suit. Remember how I said that the Spider Armor Mark II looks very similar to another suit in the game? The Anti-Ox suit is that exact suit that I was talking about. The main reason why I like this better than both the Mark II and Mark III armors is its overall inclusion in the game's story. Its similarity to both outfits, and it looks freaking beautiful at night. For those who love the advanced suit in the game, they can thank the Insomniac gods and goddesses, as the suit carries many similarities over from that suit, along with the additional neon lights on the eyes and spider logos. Besides, in the final fight, the suit gets damaged so you can see the advanced suit underneath, so it's sort of a 2-for-1 special at that point in time. Honestly, I think that would have been a much cooler damaged suit than the actual damaged suit that we got. This is no doubt one of the better Insomniac original suits in the game, and honestly, I hope the suit gets added in the sequel. Overall, my favorite part of the suit is how it ties into the story throughout the main campaign, and is supposedly made from the same material as Blackhawk's arms. Number 12, the Last Stand suit.
Now, how do I get out
My
of here?
surprise was how outstanding the last suit turned out to be in Spider-Man PS4. Like I said with the ESU suit, I love when Spidey mixes casual clothing with a Spider-Man outfit, and no other outfit does it better than the Last Stand suit. I love how gritty the original comic is and how well the suit ties into the grittiness of nighttime stealth missions, along with fitting in the calm daylight. The Last Stand suit appeals to me a lot more than other suits in the game because it feels like a costume that anyone could create, and that's perfectly displayed here in a realistic-looking game such as this.
I thought you were
All
out of
you
town.
need are some sneakers,
Did you
black
find what you were
jeans,
looking
a red
for?
coat, a black marker to draw a spider symbol, then
You're
get yourself
back.
a mask and boom,
Get that.
you're one of the most grizzled
Thank you.
Spider-Men to
And
walk the
heading
face
off
of
again
the earth.
shortly, I'm afraid. Just needed a few
Number
things
11,
from my office.
Spider-Man
You must have heard
2099
about City
White
Hall.
For those
Yes.
who watched my top 15 alternate suits,
Tragic.
Peter was there. He was very lucky.
And an Osborn rally. I didn't know you were a fan. Well, what matters is you are both safe.
Amen.
But the bombers are still out there. Who knows what they've planned next?
I don't think you or May have anything to worry about. As long as you stay away from places you're not supposed to be. Well, I should go.
When will you be back?
When my work is done.
Number 10, the classic suit repaired. Breaking into the top 10, there was never any doubt that the repaired classic suit would make it this high. Insomniac did an outstanding job at creating a unique design for the classic suit, and personally, I loved everything they did with it. Everything from the sharp legs on the back logo to the tight compact front logo to the shape of the eyes and how expressive they are, this is no doubt one of, if not my most favorite classic suit design. This suit serves as the foundation for every other classic suit iteration in the game, and the uniquely shaped eyes are used in several other established costumes, such as the Unicorn suit, Cyborg Spider-Man suit, and the Fear itself, making it more believable than the suits this version of Fear would create or use.
I knew it!
I have yet to do a full playthrough of the game using just this suit, but I want to do that eventually, just to see how simple yet effective this design is. Number 9, Spider-Man 2099 Black Suit. Yes, this suit is blue in the game, and we all know that Spider-Man 2099 has a blue suit in modern media, but initially, Spider-Man 2099 suit was black and red. Anyone who has read the 2099 comics understand why Insomniac named the suit this way, and thankfully...
Here, but...
Captain Watanabe,
I finally got your evidence. Head to the Feast Center in Chinatown.
what am I going to find?
A nice lady named May Parker. And some really weird stuff hidden in Lee's office. But listen, he's got another attack planned.
Where? When?
Still working on that, but I think he's going to use something called Devil's Breath.
Sounds destructive. What is it?
A substance created by Oscorp. Probably a bioweapon of some kind. I have a folder full of info on it. I'm holding on to it for now. I'll send copies as soon as I can.
Okay, we'll check his office. If the evidence stands up, I'll put out an APB.
MJ, hey. Just checking in.
Peter, hey. Can I call you back?
I think you'll want to hear this. Wait, why are you whispering?
Just in the middle of something. How about we catch up over dinner? my place?
Oh, sure. I'll even cook.
Cool. See ya.
Wait. Remember how you told me about Lee's corrupting touch? I think I just saw it in action.
How?
Some perfectly nice homeless people just jumped me. Thing is, they had glowing eyes. And I remembered Yuri telling me something similar about the guard who released Shocker.
So Shocker was working for Lee? It's all connected.
There's more. But I guess we'll talk about it at dinner.
Yeah. See ya.
Dinner? What should I cook?
Okay, I'm back.
I decided to switch from this suit whenever I had a boss line so negative, and I was shocked how much for improved suit change.
Oh, hi, Doctor. How are you?
Parker! Exciting news. Come by the lab.
Like now?
This is my defining moment. Can't wait to show you.
Cool. I've got dinner plans. Can I come by later?
Dinner can wait. You need to see this, Peter.
Okay. Be right there. Wonder if this means I have a job again. Guess I can stop by, just for a minute.
Folks, I have to once again defend myself against the spurious claims from McDonald Mac Gargan, aka the Scorpion. Yes, as I fully disclosed, I bankrolled the experiment that gave him superior strength, speed, and that unsightly cyborg tail. The idea was to create an anti-Spider-Man who is not a threat and stops menaces. I had no idea he was crazy. Do you think his resume said psycho with a poisoning fetish? His lawsuit is a transparent attempt to reduce his sentence at the raft by placing the blame for his deeds on me. And that is one package J. Jonah Jameson refuses.
In terms of the suit's appearance, though, it's just really shiny, reflective, and is the one armor that truly looks both effective and stylish in combat. Number 4, the Secret War suit. The Secret War suit was my third most anticipated suit in the game, and after I loved it the first time in the game, I was really excited and shocked about its inclusion.
I'm Kirsten Stubbs, and in my new Showtime series, I play Crystal Stubbs, a beautiful woman doing whatever it takes to succeed. She stops at nothing.
Hey, Doctor.
Hello, Peter. I'll be just a minute.
What is he doing? What is he doing?
Look at all this new stuff.
Sir?
Lots of late nights in this lab. Glad Doc keeps the snacks stocked up. We should get more of those little cheese squares, though.
What are you doing? I'm scared now. Not for me, for Doc Ock. I feel like he's gonna do something reckless.
Where did you get all this equipment?
Called in every last favor. Took out a few loans. It's like we're starting over once again. But this time's going to be different.
You've been busy.
Just getting started. You know, until now, we've been looking at prosthetics from the wrong perspective. Why restore people to what they were when we can make them better? Okay, I think that should do it.
I love that.
My favorite colors, which are blue, black, and orange. In Spider-Man PS4, though, the ones
Ready?
red rather than orange, which is a better design choice.
He has a beard.
I think it allows the suit to be better like
Some sort.
that little design change on the suit, though, like my dislike of the red one. Scarlet Spider. Overall, this suit is very interesting. The fact that I get used to while swinging around the city for the first time ever is truly a memorable event for me. Number 3, Iron Spider armor from the comics. Let me just warn you, the rest of the suit
Everything okay?
Damn it! This is all your fault, Norman, you son of a...
Because of how much I love the Iron Spider armor, seeing it as part of the Turf Wars DLC.
Well, I know who you're not voting for in the next election. Sorry. I have a habit of making bad jokes in tense situations.
It was a good joke, Parker.
Thank you.
Just a bit of an overreaction on my part.
No, don't worry. Why don't you take a break? I'll clean this up and get us ready for another test.
Aside from name and concept, it's beautiful how much this suit looks like armor Iron Man would actually make in this reality.
So, hope you don't mind me asking, but it seems you and Norman have a bit of a history.
We were lab partners in college.
One of my favorite suits in the entire game.
Became friends.
Game, nor is it DLC.
Decided to start a business. We both had visions of changing the world, just in different ways.
Wait, you were at Oscorp when it started?
I'm half the reason it's called Oscorp. In grad school, everyone called us the O's. Add Corp to that, and, well, it is a catchy name.
Added designs to the red spandex.
Why'd you leave?
More volume to the overall costume.
Norman became more and more obsessed with genetics.
The web suit, aka the Raimi suit.
We started a project
How
I
could my
considered
number one
unethical.
suit not be my most
And there
favorite
was
suit in
this-
the entirety of Spider-Man PS4? Despite the fact
Anyway, lawyers got involved. I chose to leave in exchange for a settlement. But that money didn't last very long. I've relied on grants ever since. If this project doesn't work...
Don't worry. It'll work. Let me just fix this up.
I'll brew some fresh coffee.
Because the original movie did have a different design, and I can't thank Insomniac enough for fighting through the backlash and delivering on their best suit. To me,
Be sure to run a diagnostic on the control unit.
I'm on it.
How much love I have for Spider-Man as a character. The web suit may not be called the Raimi suit, but I can't thank Insomniac enough for fulfilling my wishes on Spider-Man. Here's the Spider-Man
No good.
PS4
Gotta reroute this circuit.
higher amount of suits included. There we have it, everyone. That's my official ranking on all the 40 suits that are currently in Marvel Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. Spider-Man PS4 is no doubt one of the best games I've not just played, but experienced, and Insomniac is truly the best company to tackle a large property such as this. They have such respect for the character, the license, and the world around Spider-Man that makes me
Hello, Rome.
or the changes that they make to the suits or their stories. I'll be making a video in the coming months talking about my wishlist for suits that I didn't get to see in Spider-Man PS4 that I want to see in this game, and I'll talk more about what that game can potentially give us in terms of story. Until those videos, thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope this video was entertaining to all of you. If you enjoyed my list, give me your own comments below. I'd love to hear. Overall, I could recommend these 9 suits with a couple of others that I've mentioned in my top wishlist video. So that's pretty good, right? Maybe since I'm kind of psychic, you should subscribe to my channel and see what I predict for Spider-Man PS4 too. I'd appreciate any and all support. Anyways, guys and girls, I'll see all of you in my next video. Later, everyone. Alamo was where it all began, with the help of Guardians. Tony was able to build the original suit and came from little more than scrap metal and machine parts. The bulky
and unpainted design of the suit is reminiscent of the original Iron Man armor from the comics, which he actually used for quite a long time. But the movie's version didn't last anywhere near as long and was soon scattered across the desert.
Why don't you do the honors this time?
Later to be obtained by Obadiah Stane and become the basis of the Ironmonger suit. Once back on American soil, Tony set about work on the Mark II, and the basis of the iconic Iron Man design first appears. However, this suit doesn't last long either, as a high-altitude test flight revealed
Next step,
an icing problem.
neural interface.
It's a lot of work for you to do by yourself. Sure you can handle it?
Apparently not, judging by today's debacle.
Because I still haven't found another job.
My funds are still...
I know. It's okay. Don't worry, I'll figure it out.
Although technically
What's a few bucks when you're trying to change the world, right?
James Rhodes in Iron Man 2.
To changing the world.
The basis for the trademark Silver War Machine armor. Now we have the Mark III, and the first time we get those iconic Iron Man colors.
Doctor, I need to go, but I'll be back later.
This suit fixed the icing problem of the Mark II by using a gold titanium alloy, including a series of miniaturized weapons, and became the first suit to use the palm repulsors as a weapon. This was the armor used throughout the rest of the first movie, but following the fight with the Ironmonger, it was beyond repair. The Mark IV was built as a direct replacement for the Mark III, and is notably very similar. But don't think the genius billionaire playboy philanthropist had run out of ideas.
Hey, sorry I missed your call. Are you still on for dinner?
Dinner? Oh, yeah. I was calling you about something else, but yeah, we should talk over dinner.
Offer still stands for me to come over and cook.
Oh, really? Well, I like to take risks. I'm still out, but I'll grab some stuff at the store and let you know when I'm home.
Okay, talk soon.
Many of the weapons found in the earlier and
Alright, dinner at MJ's. Low expectations. It'll be hard to screw this one up. Guess I'll just freelance for a while until she calls.
Next we have the Mark VI. This was the first suit built to work with a new part of the
Attention agents in Roseville. This is Control. What's your status? APC officer under fire.
It's the first armors to be repaired after a fire rather than just being decommissioned. As although it was heavily damaged in Iron Man 2, as you can see.
Swear, if it ever comes back, we'll come back too.
Another camera. Gotta be Black Cat.
Are you jealous I'm visiting my other man? I hope so. But you can know bad boys aren't my type.
Later in the film, this armor is enough to hold up against the might of Thor. However, it was later badly damaged when restarting the helicarrier's turbines, and Tony switched to the Mark VII for the final showdown with Loki's army. Mark VII. This suit was another big step up for the Iron Man, offering automatic deployment and assembly, faster flight, as well as new and upgraded weapons. However, it still had its limits, and pushing a nuke through a portal into space was enough to cause the systems to shut down.
What just happened? Please tell me nobody kissed me.
After some repairs, the Mark VII remained Tony's default armor for quite some time while he worked on the Iron Legion of suits. The Iron Legion, Mark 8 to 41. After the Battle of New York, Tony began to rapidly develop new Iron Man suits, and over the coming months, he built 33 sets of armor, all with their own unique features and specialities, which appeared in the final battle of Iron Man 3 as part of the House Party Protocol.
Jarvis, target extremity signatures disabled with extreme prejudice.
Mark 8 to 14 all improved on the weaponry of the previous suits, and some also included enhanced flight or armor capabilities. The Mark 15 was the first suit to focus on stealth, using technology from stealth aircraft and anti-radar devices. It was able to avoid detection from most radar systems. Improvements were made with the Mark 16, which was built to be even harder to detect and more lightweight. Mark Mark 17 was codenamed the Heartbreaker and focused on the repulsor tech, using its oversized chest bore to fire larger or more concentrated blasts and even generate a shield.
Why are you doing this, Felicia? I know I'm gonna catch you.
The Mark 18 combines the tech from the previous designs, making it almost entirely undetectable.
Alright, I picked up a bunch of stuff at the store. Can't wait to see what you come up with.
Swinging over now. Prepare to be amazed.
And the Mark 19, codenamed Tiger, was able to travel so fast it could create a sonic boom. The Mark 20 focused on distance rather than speed, and was able to travel further within the suit.
This is Control. What's the situation in the meatpacking district?
However,
Control, rooftop outpost under fire from demons.
The Mark 22 was actually built as a prototype for Brody, giving an update to the War Machine armor. However,
friends, I've just received an update on Adrian 2, aka the Vulture. Apparently, this winged criminal has fallen ill with cancer, and he's been moved to the RAF's infirmary for treatment, which will undoubtedly cost a fortune in public funds. Now let me ask you, why do we even have an infirmary at the RAF? It's a supermax prison full of maniacs. If they get sick, let nature take its course. Now I realize that's harsh, but so is my tax bill.
Mark 25 had its functions in combat, but was built more for heavy construction. It contained two jackhammers on its arms. Mark 26 was almost identical to the 25, but offered more protection from things like gamma radiation. Yeah. Mark 27, codenamed Disco, has one of the more in-your-face color schemes, but interestingly also offered some of the best camouflage as it was able to mimic black and chameleon. Mark.
You need a trainer to help you eat the bird. Hey.
Wait a minute.
Hurry in and try quarter-pound double cheeseburger or
Peter! You are not gonna believe what happened. So you know that address you gave me? I went there.
MJ.
I know, but wait.
What is this?
Just listen. This is the address Pete found. Men are all carrying firearms. What is this place? That office. Might be something inside that connects this to Lee. Need to get back there.
Huh? What was that? What dumbass can't put their shit away? Bet it was Happy. Almost shot a rat.
Need to get this guy out of my way.
Martin Lee's really paying the boss?
Yeah. We build this war beast for Lee. Lee finances the boss's new venture. Win-win.
Well, you better clean your flag off that floppy well.
Tennessee sites to the stars. This was designed to handle suborbital space travel. The Mark 40 was a direct upgrade on the Mark 22 and was able to handle the hypersonic flight without falling apart. Finally, the Mark 41 was built to be super lightweight and maneuverable and offered freedom of movement. This first Iron Legion of suits were all destroyed either in the Battle of Iron Man 3 or by the Clean Slate Protocol activated by Tony in the wake of the flight.
The Clean Slate Protocol, sir?
Yeah.
Yes.
The name version for the group of suits came directly from the comics. In that version, War Machine brought together a team of individuals, including Happy Hogan, to defeat Ultimo by each using an Iron Man suit. The movie subtly references this when Tony says that all the armors in this Iron Legion are coded so that only he would be able to use them.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Just give me a second. Sorry, they're only coded to me. What's that mean? I got you covered.
Inspired by his success in Iron Man 3, Tony made a new set of unwearable suits to replace the Iron Legion, who were controlled controlled by Jarvis, and assisted the Avengers between the events of Iron Man 3 and the start of Age of Ultron, where we first see them in action. The Mark 42 was the suit Tony uses most in Iron Man 3. Now, it builds upon lots of the work he had done previously designing the Iron Legion, but the most important feature was that Tony could summon and command the armor with simple hand gestures, and even Thor. This was the armor he used to save Pepper, and then she used to save him. However, it never made its way out of the prototype stage, and was destroyed whilst dealing a killing blow to Ultron Killian. It does appear that Tony rebuilt the armor as we can see it in Spider-Man Homecoming, being transferred from the Avengers Tower to the new facility. The Mark 43 only offered some minor upgrades from the Mark 42. It is visually very similar. This suit was used by Tony throughout most of Age of Ultron, however, was retired before the final battle. The Mark 44, better known as the Hulkbuster armor, was designed with one purpose in mind: restraining a rampaging Hulk. Parts of the suit were deployed by Veronica, a mobile unit that would be deployed with the suit and provide replacement limbs in case the Hulk would have torn off. This colossal suit was powered by at least 11 arc reactors and was equipped with a grappling hook, missiles, chemical spray, extended punches, and enough strength to knock out one of the Hulk's teeth.
Nice. Maybe just one of us will do it.
Friday as his AI rather than Jarvis, who is now busy looking around.
I didn't put some more forward.
Weird to see both of them together. This suit is the culmination of a lot of Tony's earlier work. Its weaponry is enhanced and it brings together a lot of other features into one single package. The Mark 46 was the suit used in Civil War. This was another step up from the Mark 45 and offered small improvements across the board.
What was that?
It also borrows from the Hulkbuster and contains multiple arc reactors to power different parts of the suit, giving it even greater levels of
We need to get into that office.
During the course of Civil War, this suit takes some serious damage, much of which was dealt at the hands of the pair of soldiers. However, inside the
Is this all for Lee? Easy does it. What kind of vehicle needs tires this big?
Where is it? We also see some new gadgets like the EMP projectiles and powered clamps. The Mark 47 appears as Tony's suit in Spider-Man Homecoming. Its capabilities seem to be the same as most previous suits. Physically, it's identical to the Mark 46, outside of its paint job, which is inspired by the Ultimate Universe Iron Man armor. The Mark 48 and 49 are not directly referenced anywhere. However, we can assume the new Hulkbuster armor seen in Avengers Infinity War was one of them, and it's likely the other was the prototype for the Mark 50. The Mark 50 is a big step up for Tony, which is why I suspect one of the previous two versions was only a prototype.
Has anyone seen the 316 socket driver?
Nanotech, both as a means of quickly donning the suit and for further use in combat. The nanites are able to reposition themselves into different gadgetry like shields, cannons, hammers, and blades.
When do we get a
the
new
suit was
research
at the height of Tony Stark's abilities and was stronger, more durable, and faster than any of his previous paint suits. However, it still wasn't enough to take on Thanos, as even with all of that power, the best Iron Man could manage
pick up more
was
beer
a small
after our
scratch
last run?
on the Mad Titan's face. We're getting into some endgame spoilers now, so time to click away if you haven't seen it yet and come back later. After returning to Earth post-snap, Tony gives up on the superhero lifestyle and settles down with Pepper and their newborn daughter Morgan. However, over the next 5 years, he still keeps himself busy working on some new suits. He creates at least 35 iterations, although we don't see most of them at all, and it's only the Mark 85 we see in action. This suit seems to be very similar to the Mark 50, but we see the nanotech do things like deploy incredibly quickly, create an energy shield to protect him when the Hulk attempts to utilize the stones, and even do little things like create a pair of ion blasters that Tony utilized to X-ray crates when looking for the Tesseract. In battle, the suit seems to harness the full power of Tony's synthetic Tesseract tech, aka his new arc reactor, by allowing him to absorb, conjugate, and blast Thanos with energy harder to him by Force Lightning. Except coming from multiple sources in the suit. Most impressively, though, is that the suit could not only form equivalent to
You're right, Rick.
Infinity Stones, but contain
Won't
that
notice.
power long enough for Tony to administer his own
'Cause it
stuff
won't be
and
there.
change the fate of the universe itself by destroying Thanos.
Damn it! Shut up! Fix it!
You got some that I would be remiss not to mention, and it's one used by Pepper Potts for the
Let's
final
see if they
showdown
break.
in Endgame. This, of course, is not the first time Pepper has used the suit, however. This is the first time one was made specifically for her. It's unclear what exactly the suit's full capabilities are, as we only saw it in action.
Such a disappointment.
Version was focused on defense and protection, with the idea being it could be used for search and, of course, rescue. It went as far as to have its thrusters generate no heat and have almost no offensive capabilities. However, this isn't the case in the movie, as we see Pepper take a handful of bars herself. Perhaps we will see some Easter eggs in the future that indicate she's keeping her husband's memory alive by taking up the role of Red.
Can't turn back now. Need to get into that office.
My future son-in-law is addicted to frozen food porn. This one time, my daughter and I both tried pleasing him,
Come on
but
now.
it didn't work. He has even introduced my husband to it. I'm just glad this story has a happy ending. This addiction is hard to resist.
Wait!
With Drive Time, you can save money on your down payment. $1,000 on average. Awesome, right? Saving that much money sort of feels like...
Marvel movies have
wrench.
indicate she's keeping her husband's memory alive by taking up the role of rescue and helping people in need, or maybe that mantle going to Morgan. This is likely the end of the Iron Man suits, and although we might see Pepper continue to use one, or perhaps the introduction of a character like Ironheart, this is still the end of a magical era. So, which of Iron Man's suits was your favorite? Did you like the classic design of the earlier films, or the more refined and advanced creations seen in recent
I
years? Make sure to
swear.
let me know in the comments below.
Where's that wrench?
Was able to build this in a cave with a bunch of scraps.
Come on now.
I'm not Tony Stark.
Hey!
Wait!
I swear! I can't see! How do you expect me to do this?
Marvel movies have it all. Massive set pieces, believable special effects, larger-than-life characters, and big mistakes that stick out like sore thumbs. Yeah, you heard that right. The MCU films are the closest things we have to superhero heaven. But they're not perfect. Still, it's those bloopers that prove just how funny the people behind the scenes putting these films together can be. And hey, if they're having fun behind the camera, then that's all the more reason why we have so much fun watching these movies in the theater. So, join Screen Rant as we go through these 25 unbelievable Marvel movie bloopers. 1. First up, it's Captain America Civil War. During the airport fight, the flight-friendly superheroes engage in their own scuffle in the skies. Rhodey's suit gets deactivated by a shot from Vision, a shot intended for the Falcon. It sends him free-falling into the ground. Anthony Mackie, as Falcon, flies over to apologize, but it took him a couple tries to stick the landing. During one take, he fell and landed face first, causing Robert Downey Jr. to break, and making us break too. Hey, something had to lighten the mood after all this infighting. 2. Unlike Velociraptors, Captain America can't seem to open doors. He may have the mightiest shield around, but in Captain America the Winter Soldier, Chris Evans spent multiple takes trying to bust through a lock on a door. The edge of his shield wasn't cutting it, however. During these takes, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow stands behind him.
Unable to provide much assistance either. Apparently they make locks stronger than vibranium. While they were eventually able to break through the door thanks to movie magic, this scene is a lesson that sometimes you should pack a pair of bolt cutters. 3. Captain America Civil War's airport battle is one of the most well-realized superhero movie fights ever. Sadly, they couldn't correctly replicate it for Spider-Man Homecoming. At the beginning of Homecoming, Peter Parker's vlog shows a recap of the battle. When Peter shows up in the footage, he says, "Hey everyone." Yet in Civil War, Tony Stark greets Peter first, saying, "Good job, kid," before Peter responds. Thanks. With all of Marvel's meticulous planning, you'd think they'd have caught this mistake, but maybe Peter Parker edited the vlog before he posted it. 4. The Pym particles from Ant-Man are explained not once, but twice, as having the ability to shrink space between atoms. That's all well and good, and makes all the shrinking and enlarging that happens throughout Ant-Man seem believable. But if Ant-Man's tech isn't actually shrinking the atoms themselves, then we believe that they can't possibly be changing the mass of the items, no matter how small or large they become. Which means that Ant-Man couldn't have carried that tank in his pocket unless he wanted to rip a hole through his pants. 5. Much of the Guardians of the Galaxy's success is due to its soundtrack. One big mistake, though, is the cassette tape on which Star-Lord's awesome mix plays. His mom may have passed away in 1988, but the mixtapes she's given him are Type 2 CDing 2 TDK cassette tapes. That may not ring a bell to any of you non-tape experts out there, but this particular brand of cassette was not produced and sold until 1993. Let's assume this happened because someone time-traveled and made a copy. 6. Black Panther's Denai Guerrera has achieved much success as of late, thanks to her MCU role as Okoye and her other famous role as Michonne in The Walking Dead. But those two big titles on her resume weren't enough to keep her from being upstaged by a ghost. During filming, Black Panther's sidekick was given her own sidekick when a goat wandered into the frame. It's hard to control a goat, but hey, maybe we'll all look back in 20 years and say, wow, can you believe that world-famous goat got his start in Black Panther? Who'd have thunk it? 7. In the first Avengers film, the Battle of New York caused billions of dollars worth of damage to the Big Apple, and many lives were sadly lost. So a dent in a car shouldn't have that much of an impact in the grand scheme of things. At one point during the battle, Thor crouches behind this dented, overturned silver car. The next shot, though, the car's dents are gone, and while it's still overturned, there doesn't appear to be any issue. The special effects team likely failed to remember to add damage to the car in subsequent shots. 8. Kobe Smulders has comedy chops, as we know. Yet Google at Agent Maria Hill doesn't often allow her to go for laughs, except in this case. With a no on Father Darth Vader's at the end of Revenge of the Sith, Smulders really goes for here, trying to get the Avengers to, avenge his death. And quick fun fact, this blooper was used for loading screens in the LEGO Marvel Avengers video game 9. physical muscles. While he doesn't know where South Central is, we get to see Kingsley do an Irish, Jamaican, French, and Spanish accent before they ask him to do British, which turns the conversation on its head. 15. In the first Iron Man, Captain America's shield makes a cameo appearance. At the time, it seemed like a nice little Easter egg, and it somehow didn't give away the twist of the post-credits scene, telling us Iron Man is the start of a shared universe. The inconsistency here is that during this time, Captain America is still buried under ice, frozen in the same spot since the end of Captain America: The First Avenger, days after Iron Man. Maybe this was just a prototype shield. 16. Captain America: The First Avenger had an even bigger problem with consistency, and that's frustrating, or rather misty. For a guy who can transform into a nearly indestructible green beast, Bruce Banner doesn't always have the stomach for violence. At least in his normal form. That's best shown in this cut blooper from the first Avengers. While filming a shot during the Battle of New York, where the Avengers look dramatically toward the foes ahead of them, Ruffalo just goes, "Dudes, you're on your own," and bolts down the street. Hey, even the Hulk has to listen to his fight or flight instincts. 18. Despite the many small mistakes, the first Avengers is still a milestone in blockbuster filmmaking. It's just a shame they let this blooper go by too. Toward the end of the movie, Captain America rides off on a motorcycle and a tight shot shows him smiling as he goes. No matter how fast that motorcycle may be moving, however, his hair stays in place. Either he's got a whole bunch of pomade holding it together, or he was just filming the scene in front of a green screen. 19. We live in an era where minor costume mistakes and continuity issues can be fixed with a quick computer touch-up, which makes these slip-ups all the more surprising. Take this one from Iron Man 2. Ivan Vanko lies on the ground and a trail of blood dribbles from his mouth. In the next shot, however, the blood trail disappears from Ivan's mouth. Did he swallow it? Did the cops surrounding him wipe the side of his mouth? What's the deal here? 20. As the voice of Jarvis, actor Paul Bettany must have gotten a lot of practice saying verbose lines and complex technical phrases. As Vision, though, Bettany has to say these lines in a tight costume, on set, with his fellow actors. And sometimes that makes it more difficult to keep from getting tongue-tied. To see Vision, a cool, calm, and composed character, lose his ability to speak clearly changes the way we view the character. At least for the time being. 21. In Captain America: The Winter Soldier, you'd think that the coordinates of the Triskelion would be managed perfectly. Unfortunately, that's not the case. When the Triskelion is introduced on screen with fancy little text denoting the name of the structure and its location, the coordinates are listed incorrectly. Both the latitude and longitude for S.H.I.E.L.D.'s headquarters are given as north and south. The longitude should be east and west. Unless that was just S.H.I.E.L.D. trying to keep its location secret even to the on-screen viewers. 22. In Ant-Man, the hero does battle with Darren Cross.
This is
and
what they're
towards the
building
end
for
of the
Lee.
final fight, Cross pulls a Glock
Why
to
does he
Ant-Man's
need an
head.
armored vehicle?
So Ant-Man summons ants to overtake the gun in Cross's hand.
GPS trackers.
Ants block the gun's hammer, and
What's
Ant-Man is
Tombstone
able to
using
take the
these
upper
for?
hand.
All right,
The only
boys.
problem is,
Time
Cross
to
has been
move.
holding a Glock,
Get the gear
which
from my
doesn't
office.
have a hammer accessible on the outside of the gun. In fact, the close-up on the gun's hammer is the only shot in this sequence where the hammer's visible. Whoop, Ross has been holding
Okay,
a Glock,
I want to say don't ever do
which
that again,
doesn't have
but
a hammer
since I know
accessible
you're
on
going
the
to
outside of
anyway,
the gun. In
here.
fact, the close-up on the gun's hammer is the only
Take a few of
shot
those
in
next
this
time.
sequence where the hammer's
Nice.
visible. Whoops.
Thanks.
23.
You know
Tim and
Tombstone is
Eric are
crazy and pretty
lifelong
much
believers
invincible,
in their
right?
own right. They
Everybody
embrace
has
comedy
their
that's
weakness.
quote-unquote
Mine
terrible on
is
purpose, and they do comedy in a way
whatever
that takes
you're
certain
cooking
people
right
off
now.
guard.
Smells
When Tim
amazing.
Heidecker serves
The
as
chicken
a tour
curry.
guide to
Just needs some
Ant-Man
time to
and the
simmer.
Wasp, it's probably
No
right up
dumplings,
much
I
of the
hope.
audience's alley, and perfect for a blooper reel.
You're never gonna let me live that one down, are you?
Nope.
The Great Dumpling Catastrophe.
I still can't believe they evacuated the entire building.
I know, and in January, too. Your neighbors hated me.
Yeah, they were pretty happy when we broke up.
24.
Yeah.
Speaking of ripping, if you cast Jeff Goldblum in a movie, you can be dang
Let's
sure
talk about
the
what you
guy's
found in
gonna
his
rip
office.
to his heart's content.
Well,
and in a movie like Thor
Lee
Ragnarok,
clearly
which
has
is
issues
just
with Norman
full of
Osborn.
improv and
Yeah, but
ripping, Jeff Goldblum
why?
goes wild.
I don't know yet.
Sadly, much of his lines are on the
But his
cutting room
next
floor,
move
but
looks
that
like it
means there's
involves
more
Devil's
material in the
Breath.
blooper reel,
Whatever that
including
is.
some ongoing
Yeah.
ear wiggling and some
I'll dig into it.
Tom Hiddleston.
So I was thinking...
25. This one's an oldie, and a pre-MCU era blooper to boot. But it's still topical because Spider-Man's always top of the conversation.
Sidekick?
He may not be
Like
a Tom Holland
Spider-Girl? Spider-Woman.
No.
Woman.
No, not a sidekick. A partner.
During the scene when he first tries out his new web-slinging abilities. However, when we return to Peter Parker's room, the lamp's still there, undamaged. Either this is a blooper or on-base graphic skills saved the day. So, have you
Here's your
seen all
crime
these
system
bloopers and
thingy.
mistakes before?
Looks like a residential break-in.
In the background of the latest MCU
Charles
films or hidden in the
Standish.
DVD menus of the newest releases that we
That sounds
missed?
familiar.
Let us know in the comment section below.
Oh,
and join
Oscorp
Screen
CFO.
Rant for more eagle-eye.
Wait. You don't think this has anything to do with Lee, do you?
Sorry to cook and run.
Hey, screenwriters.
Did you just leave your clothes on the kitchen floor?
Eye armor. Chris Evans' favorite Captain America suit. Ladies' his undergarments. And yes, pee breaks. Those are
No.
some of the things we'll be talking about in this video.
No, I didn't.
The couch is fine.
Marvel actors' superhero suits.
See you
Let's
later?
get into it.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Doctor Who star Karen Gillan has been playing Nebula in the MCU since 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy. And each time she does so, she has to endure 2.5 hours in the makeup chair every day. Moreover, with Nebula being a completely bald character, Gillan was contractually obligated to shave off all of her hair in order to play the role. That is, at least she was initially. When she renewed her contract with Marvel Studios, she ensured that the removal of her beloved red locks wasn't part of the deal. And the creative team has since figured out...
Hey, it's me.
This curry is legit.
So what do we know about Charles Standish?
Avatar star Zoe Saldana.
Chief Financial Officer Oscorp, single, known for his art collection.
If Lee's after him, it's gotta be related to Devil's Breath.
I'll run a search on everything in that file.
Let me know the second you find something. I think Lee might be planning something even worse than City Hall.
So, are we partners now? Because it sure feels like we are.
Partners! Sounds good!
Okay. See ya, partner.
She has to spend no less than 5 hours having green makeup and a few small prosthetic pieces applied. Now, this makeup looks far more complex than but it actually took around the same amount of time to apply.
Police look like they could use some help.
Of course, played Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy 2014, and his costume is made up of 18 prosthetic pieces. A plastic mold of Batista's entire body is created. Then has an outline for every prosthetic piece drawn on it, which helps find makeup artists to find a perfect position to his actual shoulder, torso, arms, and the rest of his body. Since he first appeared as the character in 2011's Captain America, and Chris Evans has done several different cameos, with his character having had them designed by the likes of the Starks and Shield. But with Evans moved to audiences during a panel at A's Comic-Con in Chicago, he revealed which one he'd be comfortable with wearing every day for the rest of his life. And the costume in question is the Stealth Captain America Winter Soldier. You may recall it was the navy blue suit with no headpiece that had the stars and stripes emblazoned across the chest. And we have to agree that it looked pretty cool.
There's probably more of them inside. You guys stay here.
His time with Marvel Studios. The star of The Matrix played the main villain, the Red Skull, in 2011's Captain America: The First Avenger, and infamously didn't get on well with the studio. But what you might not know is that he was actually asked to reprise the role as the Guardian of the Soul Stone in 2018's Avengers: Infinity War. And one of the reasons he turned down the opportunity was because of his costume. He absolutely despised the process of having his makeup and prosthetics applied. It bored
I'm not much of a waiter.
and as a
I'm heading
result,
inside.
The Walking Dead's Ross Marquand took on the role instead, and continued to do so in 2019's Avengers Endgame as well. In the first Iron Man movie in 2008, Robert Downey Jr. actually wore a full prop armor in a number of scenes. But that suit was very, very uncomfortable, and apparently quite pinchy. So now, whenever you see Iron Man in his armor, it's merely a computer-generated rendering of the iconic red and gold tech, or occasionally a stuntman named Clay in costume. After that first movie, Downey Jr. saw what the special effects team could do with CG versions of the suit, and knowing he didn't to actually have to wear it for it to look good, he asked if he could go down a more comfortable route. There's a partial version called the football suit that he wears in a couple of scenes, but it's mainly all CGI. We know what you're wondering.
Somebody was in a hurry.
You want to know the answers to all the big questions. So, yes, we're going to tell you how Tom Holland pees when he's wearing his Spider-Man suit. Unfortunately, the answer's pretty boring.
You're hurt. I'm okay. But you gotta find Mr. Standish, fast. Those guys in the masks kidnapped him and forced him up to his place. He lives in the penthouse, top floor.
Okay, sit tight. So glad you're here. I can't find my car. Could have sworn I parked on this level.
They brought them in on my first day, like, serious dogs. And besides detailing the comic over the British actor, Holland explained that wearing only a bomb had serious practical repercussions on set. He said you can't just walk around with a bomb. Can you imagine? Which means that he had to be very careful when taking in and out of his costume in public. So you know those cool green and black uniforms that were worn by Star Wars, the elite military force in 2019's Captain Marvel movie? And you know how they all had a similar star on the back? Well, you bet you didn't notice that each one of those stars was a totally unique design. And for Carol Danvers, or Conrad, Atlas, Jervo, and John Ron all had completely different stars emblazoned across their uniforms. They were different shapes and sizes and had different numbers pointed on them. You might not have realized this, but Andy Park, director of visual development for Marvel Studios, spoke at one week about Captain Marvel's stars, and he revealed that how to be protective and practical because it's extremely form-fitting. Park said, although we're always trying to utilize the sides, we don't make any characters. You never want to be ridiculous. So for example, phone lines, what's going on in the gas station, I'm trying to show to the comic, but also respect them. That's undoubtedly the case, because we imagine the force of nature definitely had something to say about it. Back to Tom Holland in his Spider-Man costume now in this century. Turns out he's able to drink water while wearing the suit. Holland has described the process, and it sounds very tell you about it.
Wait, you guys work here too? This building is serious about parking enforcement.
My eyes and my mask click off because they're glass, and I left one out, and I can put a squeezy tube down into my mouth so I can drink from a bottle. Sounds like a lot of effort, Tom. Chadwick Boseman has been playing T'Challa, the Black Panther, since 2016's Captain America Civil War, and apparently his costume is a tight-fitting latex costume, which initially took that number has come down. Not only has he managed to shorten the amount of time it takes him in the costume, he now just needs the assistance of one person. And in his words, it's a process of trying to Boseman also goes on a strict diet to get as light as possible prior to shooting movies.
Good fight. A for effort.
Do you ever imagine how Hollywood's biggest stars react when they see the superhero?
Elevator won't work. They know I'm here.
Well, in an appearance on
But maybe I can sneak up through the elevator shaft.
Scarlett Johansson explained how she felt when she first saw the tight-fitting Black Widow outfit she'd be wearing in 2010's Iron Man 2. Johansson said she thought, look at that thing. I mean, who wants to get into something like that? You just think, oh god, really? Couldn't it have, like, I don't know, some sort of a peplum skirt or something? This thing is, like, very... There you are. It was also everything it represented. The character was so beloved. She's an iconic character. And I didn't know how people were going to take it. What the hell was I doing in this franchise? It was daunting.
Should be able to make it up to the penthouse from here. If I get closer, I can take him out.
Soldier, but she isn't particularly happy with her costume, and she's even explained how she'd change it if given the choice. Olsen told Elle magazine that it would just not be a complete choice. I like corsets, but I'd like it to be higher. Everyone has these things that cover them. Scarlett does. I would like to cover up a bit. She also expressed her view that her costume is she was saying that you like where it started in the comic books, and it was a Leonardo. It's horrible. It's so horrible. And this particular fact about him absolutely minimizes that. Prior to the release of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Pratt revealed that he stole his Star-Lord costume from the movie set for a very cool reason. Pratt said, I stole the jacket from the wardrobe so that if it comes out and everyone hopes it can, I can follow the example of someone, say like Russell Wilson.
Stay out of the light.
If it was a big enough movie to where it would mean something to a kid who's sick in the hospital for Peter Quill or Star-Lord to come visit them, I'll do that. I think that's awesome, man. described it as both painful and uncomfortable, but being British and being paid a fortune,
Careful.
regarding the discomfort he experiences in costume, the actor said, "You're really having to meditate on the line of actors, thousands of them, who would love to be in your position. You have to concentrate on how lucky you are." That is definitely
Firebombs? Seriously?
costume is different from superhero costumes in the sense that it's more ridiculous. Prior to the release of Doctor Strange in 2016, costume designer Alexander Burns said of it,
Not good.
"We got quite a legacy in our fabric store of almost every type of stretch weave and fabric, and they're sitting on the top shelf unused, which is very exciting." Interestingly, Doctor Strange's denim coat and pants were inspired by a Chinese jacket that Byrne purchased from a clothing dealer who had brought it back from East Asia. And have you ever wondered why Strange wears 7 belts? Costume supervisor Daniel Gray
Now what?
explained, simply because it looks
Enter
nice.
your password.
So, there you go. We're leaving the MCU again for a moment and going back 14 years as we come to Michael Chiklis and his
My
thing
buddy.
costume for the 2005
I
Fantastic
don't know why, but
Believe it or not, it led to meaning to talk to a therapist. Chiklis said, "For the first time in my adult life, I faced a challenge that made me think, oh my god, I can't do this. I was saying, I'm too scared, I'm too freaked out. Once they glued the suit on me, I couldn't get it off without help, no matter how hard I struggled. I had 6 people around me all day to take me out of the suit, put an air conditioner on my head, and feed me water. I couldn't eat real food, and I lived on protein drinks during the entire shoot. Going to the bathroom was horrendous. It was a physical and psychological nightmare. Ouch. Idris Elba famously had a very unenjoyable time portraying Heimdall in the MCU, but never more so than in 2014's Thor: The Dark World. Not least because his costume made him feel ridiculous. He described filming one scene as follows. "I'm actually falling down from a spaceship, so they had to put me in a harness in this green screen studio. And in between takes, I was stuck there, fake hair stuck to my head with glue, this freaking helmet, while they reset. And I'm thinking, 24 hours ago, I was Mandela. Then there I was in this stupid harness with this wig and this sword and these contact lenses. It ripped my heart out. And much like Ryan Reynolds earlier in the video, Elba didn't say freaking either. Yikes." Now, it goes without saying that Taika Waititi's performance as Korg in the MCU was mostly motion capture. He certainly isn't wearing an 8-foot-tall Rock costume, but tends to wear a cardboard cutout of Korg's head as a hat for scale purposes. But there was something very interesting about Korg's outfit in 2019's Avengers Endgame. We caught up with the Cronin in New Asgard, where he was playing video games in a little house with Thor and Meek. And he was wearing a shirt that MCU fans should be very familiar with. It was the same shirt with pineapples on it that Waititi himself wore at Comic-Con. That's a nice, fun little Easter egg if we ever saw one. We haven't seen Jamie Alexander's Lady Sif on the big screen in the MCU since 2014's Thor: The Dark World. But in April of 2019, Alexander tweeted an image that gave fans a unique sneak peek at her popular character. She showed us all of her undergarments. Don't get too excited. They weren't those kind of undergarments. In fact, what Sif wears under her armor is actually very similar to what Black Widow wears as her main outfit. Alexander tweeted, "Ever wonder what goes under Lady Sif's armor?" Which we're pretty sure plenty have. And it's actually a tight-fitting, all-black lightweight number. And, well, let's just say it doesn't look all that Asgardian. 2019's Avengers Endgame saw a very different Thor hitting the big screen. After failing to stop Thanos from executing the decimation, Chris Hemsworth's character let himself go, drinking relentlessly and putting on a load of weight in the process. But the extra weight obviously wasn't real, and nor was it CGI. Hemsworth put on a 70-pound fat suit every day of filming. He said it was fun and liberating, but also the hottest he's ever been. To add to his new look, he was also given extra body hair to enhance his new disheveled appearance, including a fake beard, as well as some things to put in his mouth to make his cheeks look more plump than usual. You may think that making the costumes is the longest, most arduous part of the development process when it comes to what Marvel superheroes wear, but it's actually the conceptual process that takes up the most time. Marvel Studios have a whole team of conceptual artists that work very closely with Kevin Feige and his team. They come up with a really strong concept before the designers even start to get to work on the production process. And to put that into some kind of perspective with an example, for 2018's Ant-Man and the Wasp, which, to put it mildly, hardly had the MCU's most complex or extravagant costumes, that conceptual process took 5 whole months. You're probably wondering what happens to Marvel's superhero costumes once they've been used in a movie. Because perish the thought that an A-list actor would ever have to wear the same one twice, right? Well, Marvel does in fact have a secret warehouse where they keep them all. Then they go out to museums and get shown in exhibitions all over the world. They very carefully curate all of the old costumes to give them a use. They've been known to sell them as well. So, if you've got thousands of disposable dollars on your hands, give them a call and be the superhero you've always wanted to be. You know you want to. And that's the end of our video. Did you enjoy our Marvel actors superhero?
You're the Spider-Ling. Crime-fighting spider. You're Spider-Boy.
Screen Rangers, welcome back. In today's Marvelous video, we're going to take a gander at when actors have improvised in Marvel films. And we're not just looking at the MCU. Time to branch out into the larger world of Marvel for the off-the-cuff comments, surprising dramatic moments, and you know we're going to include some Deadpool in here. You lucky bunch. So, before there's any more rambling, let's get started. Since the first Avengers film's success, we found out some interesting knowledge from behind the scenes of the film. It turns out that the famous end credit scene of our heroes eating shawarma happened due to an improvised line, and it all stems from Robert Downey Jr. When Tony Stark falls back to Earth and is revived by the Hulk, Stark suggests the team get shawarma, something that wasn't in the original script. Director Joss Whedon loved it so much that after filming it finished, he wanted that scene included. Only he had to wait until the international premiere to shoot it with the cast. Hence why Captain America is covering his face in the scene. He had to hide his bearded face with prosthetic makeup. He needed the facial fuzz for his role in Snowpiercer. In the origin film Captain America the First Avenger, we saw how skinny Steve Rogers became the shield-tossing super soldier of America. After he's been given the serum and emerges from the container, he's now the buff Rogers, and Peggy Carter approaches to check on him. But she can't hold back. She releases her inner Patrick and touches Cap's pec. It only happens for a brief moment, but it was enough. Afterwards, Carter reluctantly gave him a top to put on. Later on, the actor behind Carter, Haley Atwell, spoke in an interview about how that scene wasn't in the script. Instead, she just reacted in character. The crew loved it so much that they filmed that scene several times with Atwell stroking Steve. The scene that involved the deranged Eddie Brock in a restaurant was a highlight from Sony's Venom film. In this scene, Eddie is unknowingly reacting to the alien symbiote now in his system, which is understandable. Because of this, he is extremely hungry and also has a high fever. As it turns out, one of the main features of the scene wasn't in the script. When actor Tom Hardy was on the set, he spotted the gigantic lobster tank. After many conversations with the film's crew, the scene was rejigged for Hardy's wishes. He was then allowed to dunk himself into the tank with his crustacean friends. Robert Downey Jr. can get away with a lot on set in the MCU. For the filming of the Avengers, he was notorious for hiding snacks around the scene. In between takes, he would nosh on some treats. The crew spent time to find all the stashed goods on set, only to come up empty. In one scene, Bruce Banner, Tony Stark, and Steve Rogers are talking in the lab on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. As the scene goes on, Stark pulls out some blueberries and begins eating. He then offers them to Banner and Rogers. As it wasn't in the script, Chris Evans and Mark Ruffalo had to improvise their characters' reactions. Joss Whedon loved Downey's improv so much that he had to keep it in the final cut. And the next Avengers movie was sponsored by California Farms Blueberries. Just kidding. We tried a little improv there ourselves. Thor Ragnarok is well known for the creative freedom given to the actors. Director Taika Waititi left many of the film's scenes unscripted and let the actors do what they felt best. Supposedly, 80% of the film was unscripted, and that's coming from the director himself. So it comes as no surprise that at least one of the film's moments would hit our list. As a way to disarm some guards, Thor would pretend Loki is injured and shout for assistance, only to toss Loki at the guards and take them all out like some form of Asgardian bowling. It seems it's a plan that has happened many times before. There wasn't much faith in the Guardians of the Galaxy film when it was first announced. Aside from the hardcore comic fans, much of the audience hadn't heard of the space team, so the actors were given some freedom in order to push their characters. One such actor was Chris Pratt as Peter Quill. In one scene, the group had been captured by the Nova Corps. As they're being put through the system, the Corpsmen are discussing each character's backstory. Very helpful for the audience. Once it's Star-Lord's turn, Pratt decided to showcase Quill's attitude.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
There was much surprise when Michael B. Jordan was announced as the Black Panther villain Killmonger for the then-upcoming film. At the time, he still had the stink on him from the dire Fantastic Four reboot.
However, his transformation into Eric Stevens proved to be a brilliant piece of casting. In one scene, Killmonger had willingly allowed himself to be captured in order to meet with T'Challa. As he explains exactly who he is, T'Challa's mother Ramonda protests the accusations, until Killmonger shows proof of his parental lineage. And with that, Jordan muttered the line, "Hey, Auntie." Ramonda actor Angela Bassett confirmed in an interview that the line was indeed improvised. The short line showed Killmonger's personality perfectly and became an iconic line from the film. Hawkeye and Quicksilver had a love-hate relationship in Avengers Age of Ultron. Mostly hate to begin with, however, Pietro would turn that hate upside down with his sacrifice when saving both Hawkeye and a child. Prior to that, a small scene took place where Quicksilver picks up the Scarlet Witch and speeds off with her, all while stating, "Keep up, old man," to Clint. Jeremy Renner decided to improvise Hawkeye's reaction to this. Clint aimed his arrow in the direction Quicksilver had whizzed off to. He then talks to himself about how no one would know. He even comes up with a cover story by saying, "The last I saw him, and Ultron was sitting on him." Of course, this was acted with comedy. Otherwise, that may have been a very dark moment for the MCU. Acting is hard. They have to know their lines, the other actors' lines, how to react, and where to stand in the scene. It's tricky. During Captain America Civil War, the debuting Tom Holland ran into one of these problems. While in Spider-Man's bedroom, Tony's attempting to recruit Peter for his side.
You're the spider, like crime-fighting spider. Spider-Boy?
During the scene, the two characters switched from walking to sitting many times. When it came to Tony's turn to sit down, he couldn't. Tom Holland had his leg on the bed. In character, Robert Downey Jr. had to improvise by stating,
"I'm gonna sit here so you move the leg."
Holland stays in character and does exactly what Downey said. It goes to show how well Downey knows his character that he can easily replicate Stark on the fly. X-Men First Class was the start of a reboot of sorts for the Fox franchise. After X-Men Origins and Last Stand, the franchise definitely needed a redo. In First Class, we get to see a montage of Charles Xavier and Magneto going on a recruitment drive. They meet many mutants who showcase their powers and are persuaded to join their team. One character they meet is Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. This interaction was actually improvised by the Australian actor himself. Xavier and Magneto track down Logan in a bar as he's quietly drinking whiskey and puffing on a cigar. The two approach and introduce themselves, but Logan doesn't care. In fact, he tells them to go aggressively cuddle themselves. They definitely got the message and promptly left. What's a great way to show a culture clash? How about showing a character doing something that's considered normal to them in front of people that find that action unusual? Well, that's exactly the idea that Chris Hemsworth had in a scene from 2011's Thor. As Thor's in a cafe with Jane Foster and Darcy Lewis, he's enjoying his drink so much that he chucks the cup onto the ground. Thor meant this as a compliment, bless him. However, Hemsworth was the only actor that knew this was going to happen. He felt it would encapsulate Thor's brash Asgardian behavior in front of the humans. The Sorcerers and Doctor Strange seem to live a sheltered life. Sure, they know a lot of spells, but their pop music education is lacking. When Stephen Strange, a former surgeon, joins the magical elite, he brings with him some pop culture knowledge. When he's attempting to get some books on astral projection, he bumps into Wong, who is the keeper of the magical library. Wong tells Stephen that he's not ready to learn from these books. Since Wong has only one name, Stephen retorts with,
"Try me, Beyonce."
This line was actually added in by Benedict Cumberbatch. Later on, when Stephen steals the books, Wong is shown listening to Single Ladies by Beyonce, probably as research. Did you know that the meme-tastic "Why is Gamora" line is actually improvised? Did we just blow your mind? Well, for those that don't know what we're ranting about, we'll explain. In Avengers Infinity War, Peter Quill arrives and says, "Where is Gamora?" A confused Tony Stark responds with, "Yeah, I'll do you one better. Who's Gamora?" Drax, who's lying on the floor thanks to Stark, chimes in with, "I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?" The actor behind Drax, Dave Bautista, confirmed that he spontaneously came up with the memorable line. After the line was uttered, it became one of the most famous lines from Infinity War. Mark Ruffalo isn't well known for his improvisational skills. He's mostly known for being a spoiler time bomb. However, the actor has shown his ad-lib skills in the impro-heavy Thor Ragnarok. But prior to the 2017 film, Ruffalo would test the improvisational waters in 2012's Avengers film. During Bruce Banner's debut, Black Widow tracks down the reclusive scientist in an empty house. Natasha attempts to recruit Banner and the Hulk to tackle the Loki problem. During the Taiwan. Introduced in 2016's Black Panther film, Shuri would be known as the effortlessly. One area in which she was able to brandish her character was when an injured Everett Ross was brought in. T'Challa wanted to use his country's tech to save the CIA agent.
When Shuri sees what her brother brought her, Letitia decided to add in a line of her own.
There ain't another broken white boy for us to fix.
It's remembered as one of the funniest lines in the film. So as Tony Stark is dropping off Peter Parker in a limo, they discuss doing Avengers stuff again in the future. Tony leans over Peter, so Peter hugs him, only for Tony to say,
"That's not a hug, I'm just grabbing the door for you. We're not there yet."
"Ouch, Mr. Stark." Tom Holland's hug wasn't in the original script. He thought it'd be funny to embrace Brownie as he reached across, which caused Downey to react in character as well. With awkward comedy gold like that, they had to keep it in. There were low expectations by the audience when Ant-Man was released, but the cast and crew of the film knocked it right out of the park. Ant-Man makes it onto our list not due to a particular moment. Instead, it comes from scenes involving Scott Lang, his ex Maggie, and her fiancé, Jim Paxton. The actors in the film improvised all the awkward family dynamics involving them. Judy Greer, who played Maggie, spoke in an interview about how much fun they had devising the scenes. She also apologized to the editor for all of their laughing in the scenes. Tobey Maguire was the first to play Spider-Man on the big screen during 2002. In a scene where Peter's trying out his powers, he tries out his new organic spider shooters. Fun fact, the comics did a whole complicated story to mirror the film's web shooters. He's turned into a giant spider, perishes, then bursts out of the spider body as a human again, but with new powers. Comics can be weird. Anywho, in Sam Raimi's films, Spidey stands on top of a building and does various hand movements as well as shouting out commands. Many of those commands came in the form of DC character references, such as Shazam and Up, Up, and Away. All the hand movements and commands were added in by Maguire himself. Raimi let his star get creative in this fun scene. Shakespearean legendary thespian Kenneth Branagh directed the first Thor film in 2011. In the early part of the film, Thor gathers a small team and goes against his father and king's wishes to attack the Frost Giants, only for Odin to turn up and save their bacon. Afterwards, Odin verbally lays into Thor and his arrogant ways. Branagh allowed Anthony Hopkins to put his own take on the character of Odin. Hopkins improvised the speech that Odin gives as he banishes Thor. Even the animalistic growl of Loki was popped in by Hopkins. The scene was powerful and showed Hopkins' immense acting abilities. After years of harassing Fox executives, Ryan Reynolds finally got his wish of a solo Deadpool film, which was much needed after what they did to Wade Wilson in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Look at him. It's awful. So that brings us to 2016. Controversial actor and comedian T.J. Miller was given the role of Weasel. The filmmakers chose Miller as they needed an actor who could easily bounce off Reynolds. In particular, during the scene after Deadpool shows his newly disfigured face to Weasel, many of the insulting quips were improvised by Miller.
Like an avocado.
Due to all of Miller's legal issues and controversies, he probably won't be included when Disney takes over the Deadpool franchise. When the Iron Man film was announced, most people shrugged in confusion about why they'd want to watch a movie about a robot. Yep, that's exactly what they thought. Jon Favreau, the director of the film, and Robert Downey Jr. immediately changed the audience's apathy. It would start the launch of the MCU. Otherwise, where would we be at Screen Rant without the MCU? Near the end of the film, as Tony is doing the press conference, we would hear the immortal line, "I am Iron Man." A line that would also signal the end of Tony in the Marvel Universe during Endgame. You might be intrigued to know that it was actually an impromptu line by Downey and Iron Man. James Gunn's 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy film was a critical and financial success. Like we mentioned earlier, the Guardians weren't well known at the time, something which the Guardian cast and crew had to poke fun at. As Peter Quill is stealing the orb, the then unknown Power Stone, he's apprehended by Korath and friends. As things are getting tense, Quill says that they might know him by another name, Star-Lord, only to be greeted by a who? Quill is obviously very disappointed that his alias doesn't actually have the reputation he thought it did. This part was suggested by Chris Pratt as a fun meta moment. With many scenes from Thor Ragnarok being opened up for spontaneous dialogue, the actors could flex their thespian muscles. As Thor is caught and forced into the gladiatorial area, he's greeted by the person he's fighting, which turns out to be Hulk. Thor cheers with the reveal and says to the Grandmaster, "We know each other, he's a friend from work." This amazing line didn't come from the minds of the actors or crew, however. Instead, a child from the Make-A-Wish Foundation suggested the line when they were visiting the set. Oh gosh, now on to one of the most heart-wrenching scenes in Infinity War. Sorry all. On the bright side, it kind of worked out for the character in the end. Kinda. Of course, we're rambling about Spider-Man and his dusting. According to one of the directors, Joe Russo, the lines in the scene with Peter and Tony were improvised there and then, including the lines, "Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good," and "I don't want to go," as he begs Tony to help him. One of the most tear-jerking scenes in the whole of the MCU wasn't even scripted. Now we finish off with the latest spontaneous acting moment in the MCU from Avengers Endgame. As Iron Man returns to Earth, his life has been turned upside down. As he was recovering, a question from Captain America and Thanos caused Tony to snap. He verbally laid into Cap and finishes off by calling the super soldier a liar. The last part was added in by Robert Downey Jr. In order to amp the passion of the scene and Tony's anger, Downey chose to add in one small word. It was enough to sum up his character at that point. Also, Downey would tailor the famous "I love you 3000" line after experiences with his kids. Downey was on an improvising role in his last MCU appearance. And that's a wrap. Thanks for sticking around until the end. You can treat yourself to a gold star. Which improvised scene was your favorite? Who's the Marvel champion in improvising? Jot your thoughts down in the comment section below. Remember to subscribe.
I'm gonna see something.
That aside, but an elk's nose is as big as defense. When you're tracking elk, you always need to watch the wind direction. If you don't stay downwind of them.
He sounds nervous. I should take him out.
You're dead meat! I want to apologize.
You got blue blood? Yeah, you got blue blood? I'm putting that on you.
And here comes the very first customer of the day.
Go, 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 go!
I'm gonna roll to one.
Police life. Cop life.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Can you shut up? Some people say you feel this, so say that. Bye. Hello. Young Prodigy.
In a world full of terror, one hero embarks on a quest in search of.
Like you don't have a mic? What flipper?
What brings you in today?
His face. I know that's fake, but still. Oh. Me? Oh, sorry. Okay. Son, no.
My name's Trevor. What's yours?
Well, dude, if you do unmute your mic, do not curse. So I have a kid-friendly YouTube channel, so do not curse. Okay. How did they not?
这城市很臭，大家注意，蜘蛛侠来了，我们一定会找到他。
Do not curse. Rip. Oh, that hurts. Double kill. They got eaten on a train. What on the edge? Get here. That was so good. What did I think of? come from it. You just popped out of nowhere. It's like, hello there. He's like, RKO from out of nowhere. Jazz is... Hold up, can you actually hear it? He just like sock and walks off more, but it's not that big. Dope kill. Ooh. Double kill. Look at these two playing good ones. Double. No. Go next. No, all places you could have asked someone. You could have asked them to go next. God. Rip. What the heck?
如果他聪明，早就跑了。
I almost did. I didn't. Why does it come up?
Hold up.
检查洞穴，上上单位。
I didn't. Why does it come up?
谁在附近？去确认3号的状况。
That sounds like a mission, dude.
They're on a mission. We're on a mission to stop you. Well, forgot all that. No, there's a special thing I'm gonna. Whoever brings it, I swear I'll find it and think over that. Not saying I hate SpongeBob, just that I don't watch them. I like them.
Here, and today we have a new video with the Bungie news for today. The first story here comes from a YouTuber known as Mixio. This guy has around 700,000 subscribers, and he's a CSGO YouTuber, right? And he had experience with League of Legends.
The back row wages. What the heck? The train is ruthless. And some people say, to this day, he's still on there. I don't know how to right now.
I hear a train.
Watch out, watch out, watch out! Yes, it did. It actually worked. Whoa. You still want to do someone else. Stuck it. You floated. What a dummy. What is this game's logic? Pokemon Go! Run over. It's flea fly. Oh wow.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
What the hell? What was that? Oh wow, that one car.
Shit!
Son of a... I'm about to die. What the fuck?
Where's the microphone?
Where's your bike? Surprise, motherfucker. Oh, your bike killed me. What? I'm done.
Welcome to Franklin's Cooking Show. Prepare the barbecue. Or take that word, but whatever. I called it.
What brings you in today? What? Raga, c'è una Zentorno cappottata nello Santo
I'm gonna attack you. I wasn't stretching, I grabbed it. Ooh. Wait, can I watch this? Gotta fall. Say, where's his pants? Where's his shirt?
I can't handle this. What are you
Yeah, you would do that, that would really hurt you. My brother. on the ass. The burns is coming off. What? The burns is coming off. So cute. We don't finish the video or what? Can you shoot? What? Can you see? Can you still? How many fingers am I holding? How many fingers am I holding? How many fingers am I holding? Wrong. One. Okay, then you try again. How many fingers am I holding up? 1. 5. Stop. Please do 5 again. How many fingers am I holding? 5. Wrong. 4. How many fingers am I holding? How many fingers am I holding? 2. How many? Yeah. How many? 2. You said 2? Wrong. 3. I said 3 and 2. I thought you only 2 and 3. So does that mean 23? Or 32? 23. But that's not even close. 22. It was 3. 3? Hurry up. I saw 2. I like that and I saw 2. So you cheated. Cheater. You should be first. You should be first. It's my turn. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you cheated. How did I cheated? Hold up. Let me grab my blanket. Which fingers am I holding? 0. It starts with a 0. Yeah, 0. Show me the hand. I can barely see. I can see it like. I can already see my phone. It's 2. It's 0. I know it. What is it? You changed it. I know it. I know it. You said search with 0.
没见到单位，我们这儿也是闹蜘蛛了。我们一定会找到他。
定要找到他，继续搜。来吧，我看你敢不敢！处决蜘蛛的荣誉就交给我吧。2号单位报告状况，谁去看看2号？收到，马上布置。没见到单位，蜘蛛侠一定在这儿。我们不能辜负大哥。
3号单位检查通讯。3号没反应，谁去看看他？收到。一定要找到他，继续搜。单位失踪了，一定是蜘蛛侠干的。一定要找到他，继续搜。一定要找到他，继续搜。我们一定会找到他。
1号单位，请回复。谁去看看1号，确认状况。我来。我们一定会找到他。这位失主了，一定是蜘蛛侠。我们一定会找到他。我们一定会找到他。处决蜘蛛的荣誉就交给我吧。
3号单位检查通讯。3号没反应，谁去看看他？我去看看。
我们一定会找到他。他一定就在附近。来了。
号单位报告状况。谁去看看2号？这就去确认状况。不负大哥。在附近。我们一定会找到他。
There we go. Okay, stop. Give me a moment so I can play my game. Okay, back there. I have the version. I didn't say go away, just if you want to, you can go away. And why is my headset so loose? Hold on. That's why I'm so big. Okay. Self big time suit. Quad. I'm not espresso, which sucks. However, who cares? What I want is one more landmark. Cool. Maybe that's what this should have.
Let's try this again. It's safe now. What were they after? About Devil's Breath? Why do they want it? Almost got him!
Okay, my sound audio is messed up, so I'm gonna close that portion. This is the end of this video. We'll be right back.